Hey there. We are back. It's been a minute, but here we are. Here we are, back in the live stream game. Used to be the live stream king back in the day, and then took a hiatus. I don't really know what happened. Just kind of got a little burnt out. Not with the live streaming, but kind of just with everything I was doing there. But we'll talk about that. I don't really expect crazy viewership today, but if you're here, appreciate you. Thank you so much. Or if you're watching on the replay, as always, thank you so much there. Couple items right off the rip. I have like 5 things that I loosely wanna go over, and we can kind of go wherever it takes us. I got about 2 hours. We can end it earlier or potentially go longer. I do have a meeting maybe like thir don't know if I can do a 5-hour marathon stream today. Um, got a meeting at like 2:30 Eastern. But anyway, so the first thing I wanna say is right off the rip here, the reason that I want to say why I'm back live streaming or why I'm going to try to make this more of a regular thing again. A couple reasons. One, when I was doing it, when I was trying to connect more with the WordPress audience and the WordPress space, I think it was a really good endeavor and a really good thing, and I really enjoyed it. Um, the problems I'm gonna like explain the reality of it for a second here, and then we'll dive into some more things. I have a struggle right now with the content because I'm actually pushing out a ton of content and I appreciate all the support. And I'm really excited because I'm back into a realm of exploring and helping people and trying to get things going and not just helping clients, but helping people that want to do these types of things. And it's gone really well in this short amount of time here when I've been, kind of pedal to the metal again. But the reality is that there's a struggle with the content plan because I don't just want to make videos. I do want to do live streams again, obviously. But it's a struggle. It's a broader struggle. So there's some topics, right? Like OpenClaw. There is diving into Codex, diving in, deeper into Claude Code. There's rebuilding my personal website. All these things that like I have on my list that I want to do. But the problem is I want to make videos about them, right? And if I make videos about them, then that's great. Like but I also want to show you guys the process. And I've been doing that a little bit on the second channel as you've seen, but on the main channel here, that's where like the more polished type videos would be. And that's kind of my issue right now is what I'd like to do some today, but I'm just kind of knocking the dust off here today. But moving forward, it would be really cool if I could do more of like live work sessions during these live streams with Q&A and different stuff in between or whatever. And then I could basically like explore more directly during live streams. And then on the videos, I would just like put together a cleaner video for anybody that doesn't want to watch the live streams. Because obviously YouTube fucking doesn't really like live streams for most people. And then they don't get any real, most of the time, like a lot of replay value. So that's why like the live streams are really good for connecting, Q&A, all that type of stuff, but that's kind of my thought process there. So, and I like live streaming. In the past, I like live streaming because I didn't have to edit or didn't have to do anything like that, but got some ideas there and got some things that I've already worked on, so to speed that situation up. So, yeah, that's kind of it. Basically, just the lay of the land there is main channel is going to continue to be, pretty good, solid, like tighter content. Live streams, I'm going to do these. I'm going to try to do these every week with just like building stuff, doing different things, whatever. And then second channel stuff here and there, just like behind the scenes, still thoughts and everything. I don't really like what I've done with the second channel entirely because I'm now putting like AI type content over there, but it's raw and it's not bad. It's the best thing that I could have done there, but is what it is. So yeah. All right. So that's the update on why we're back and kind of the overall content strategy there. And yeah, now I want to give a little bit of a recap of what I've been doing over the last 3 months or so. Because and if you've watched the second channel, you probably can kind of tell from some of the updates, but if you don't, it's fine. I just want to give you the high level. I'm not going to go super super deep. In December, I mean, this all blends with my third point with everything, like how my thinking has changed, especially coming from WordPress over the past like 2, 3 years, well, longer than that, but in the community for 2 or 3 years. And everything is just kind of like I don't know, it's just gotten like a little topsy-turvy as far as like how I see the world and how I see everything moving and evolving. Um, and I just want to check on something here real quick. Okay, we're cool. Cool, cool, cool. Okay. So everything's kind of changed in my mind. And I kind of just want to like again use this as my first pass back into this because I'm gonna be honest with you, I really don't want to talk about the shit that I talked about for the last 2 years anymore. I don't really want to talk about like I was basically learning the WordPress realm and I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to like I learned so much of it and I don't want to talk about it in the sense of like, "Oh, is this better than this?" Like there's still going to be a level of that, but to me, all this is personal perspective and lived experience and everything. So you might completely disagree with this and that's fine. You do whatever you want, but um as somebody that wants to continue to evolve, I have to continue to talk about the things that I'm constantly thinking about and experiencing. I was in that WordPress realm for like 2 years and it was good. A lot of great connections. Didn't meet any bad people, nothing like that. But the minutia, the nuance of underneath all of that was that everyone like they are I'm blending my second and my third point here, but I guess it has to happen because it is literally what happened to me in the last 3 months. I'm just going to tell you this WordPress story, like kind of like right off the rip here. So WordPress is full of really good people, but it's full of a lot of like I would say the average age that you would encounter in the community is probably 40. Now, I'm not ageist, but unless we're talking about people in Congress. But anyway, I'm not ageist, but the idea here is that if we can take emotion out of the situation and we can look at things logically, people are I'm going to try to say this stuff loosely, but I'm on a live stream, so I don't really care. More or less, I'll say it, and then we can have a discussion or not. I don't care. Most people that I've encountered in WordPress, there's a lot of them. The like the devout people, they are devoted. I was gonna say hopelessly devoted. I don't think that's completely accurate, but they're very devoted to it. And none of this is criticism. This is observation. And it's also kind of was me, right? I think a lot of this, I'm just like this, by the way. I just like constantly psychoanalyze like every situation and every person that I come across. They're devoted to it. Okay. And you have to understand why. Okay. That is not a criticism. That is a fucking observation. Okay. You have to understand why. A lot of them were here in WordPress. They were there when the fire was started. I like to use the campfire analogy that I always get from my friend Spencer Foreman because it was a great analogy. The campfire was started it was stoked and first lit in like 2003. Great thing. Okay. The reality of the situation is it's 23 years later. Okay. So things change. Okay. I'm not saying totally for the worst, but things change. So this story is really more about me. It's like I'm just using this as the observation and the surrounding pieces of it. I was inside of that for again 2 years heavily. And I don't regret it, but I did learn a lot from it. And I don't really want to be that deep in that anymore. I don't want to be at all. Because immediately when you go to this idea of next gen, like it's not even different shit. There's a lot of fucking threads here. Sorry. It's very difficult for me to kind of like properly explain this, but they as in like people in WordPress, like because they're devoted to it for some good reason, and because they know it, they love it, they trust it, it is the thing that they do. A lot of people I found they're not willing necessarily to go like further out from it. And then the other thing is I never felt like a developer in WordPress land because I was always a page builder user. And that's also not a bad thing. But I think that I made some mistakes personally with my trajectory because I am and I very much have the ability to learn like basically anything, and I am pretty technical. And I always like didn't give myself enough credit for that, which I would just tell you that you should probably give yourself more credit than you think you deserve because you probably do deserve it. So I never put myself like in that developer bucket, but I went to school for computer science. Like I did literal programming in college. And when you really step back and you think about the web design landscape that I feel like probably a decent amount of us are familiar with, unless you're part of the newer audience of like AI first individuals, which we'll get there. You don't realize, I didn't realize at first that a lot of those people do not come from a technical background. They come from a graphic design background. Again, there's no criticism here. We are observing a story, okay? They come from like a graphic design or a marketing background. It's totally fine. However, what I realized very, very quickly as I started to dive in over the last 3 months to what I would just call, you can call it vibe coding. I would call it like AI driven workflows, like AI first workflows, those types of things. As soon as we passed the point of, and I was even I felt like I was a little late to this, but we're still, all of us, if you're even like close to this thing, are so early. But as soon as we moved from like, even in this time of like N8N, when that was, when N8N was really, really popping off, you still needed to be like technical or whatever, but it was still like very visual. As soon as you move into Claude Code and agentic workflows and doing that type of stuff, you are now a developer. Now, I say that softly, okay? Because if you're a developer, like, I mean, you're gonna get developers that have been handwriting code for years, and they're gonna shit all over you for saying that. Okay, I'm that's fine, whatever. But the reality is, at minimum, you're like a senior level product manager, and you understand, if you want to, you have the ability to learn super quickly because the AI tooling allows that now. You don't need to like spend countless hours looking at Stack Overflow stuff for errors, and you don't need to, actually study syntax as much as you had to before. Like it's just not necessary. And that's just naturally where the world is going. There's really like two paths there. Either we continue down that path and everybody continues to learn that orchestration and understanding and critical thinking and kind of like asking the right questions and planning and pushing back where needed with like the AI's strategy and plan is the thing, is the skill, is the valuable skill. Or all of the AI stuff blows up, like all of the high level AI stuff blows up, like the closed source, like server farms all, vanish or whatever, or it's not profitable and all that sort of stuff. And then we still remember that, like, oh wait, that was really, really effective. And then everybody just brings everything into their local machines, and then those people win. So I have a 2080 Super over here that I built 6 years ago, and the thing can generate, images in, less than 10 seconds. It can do coding and do whatever. I don't do too much local yet, but maybe you've seen some of the videos. I don't want to go super off topic here, but my point is that like this ain't going away. Like the world might end before this goes away. So I want you to like kind of understand that I don't really even feel like that's a prediction. That's it's almost for certain. I feel like could be wrong. I'm definitely, come back to the stream. Let me know if I'm wrong. If it completely like goes away and we get Men in Black, the whatever that neuralizer thing, and we don't remember anything about this. I don't think that's happening. So if you're not looking into it, I would recommend you do. We'll leave it there. Anyway, to put a bow on this WordPress situation, because again, I don't really want to continue to talk about that. I will continue to talk about it. That's not what I mean. But like it's not productive anymore for me to talk about it, because I have seen, when I say that, I do the clickbait of like I've been radicalized by AI, I truly have. Because it is the weirdest fucking phenomenon. Okay, let me try to explain it concisely. It's the weirdest phenomenon. I didn't feel like a developer because I was in page builder land the whole time, and I actually didn't give a shit about like the CSS and stuff like that. Like I would look at this stuff and I'm like, why do I care about this? And now the beautiful part is, now that I have a machine to do a lot of the grunt work for me, I actually care more about what the fuck's going on, because I don't want this thing to go run rogue and build something that isn't what I want, is terribly architectured, and just doesn't work, errors out, whatever. So I don't care about the syntax, but I care way more about vetting the technology. And here's where this all comes together, okay? Because I'm extremely empathetic to this situation, but at the same time, I'm trying to evolve. And if anybody wants to come with me, come with me. If you don't, then that's fine. But here's the thing. If you understood WordPress, and again, WordPress is the one I'm picking on, but it's because it was like, you know, the community I was in. It's with everything. If you want to just stay in WordPress because you only feel comfortable there, and that's the only thing you know, I totally get it, bro. I totally get it. In a pre AI world or a world or a workflow without AI, you can't learn shit because you're constantly fucking working. Like you're constantly trying to build websites for your clients or for the company you're working for or build the plugin that you're dealing with. Like you're constantly on your keyboard. You couldn't learn. There's no way you could. So I totally get it. I really do. But now you have to understand how the world has changed so rapidly, so quickly, and still is changing extremely rapidly. You don't have to do that anymore. You really don't. Your job could be, or not, I don't give a fuck, but your job could be getting better at understanding the larger aspects and the larger pieces of what you're trying to accomplish, not typing syntax 24/7. It could be if you want to do that. And I also want to say, I'll throw it in right here because I think it makes maybe the most sense to put it in. I'm not advocating for AI slop bullshit either. That's not what I'm advocating for. I'm advocating for people that want to be like architects of systems. They want to think about how the technology works together. They want to ask the AI. They don't want to ask the AI, make me an app, make me a note-taking app that makes me $1 million a month, make no mistakes. Okay, I know that's a meme. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that like you should see the prompts that I put in, and I'll show you. I'll show you some of the stuff here in a second. Again, just made a video on Whisperflow, affiliate link. Okay, it's the best thing that I've ever done. Anywhere on my computer at any time, I just click 2 buttons and I talk just like I am now, and the AI listens to me like a human, like a junior developer, whatever, and I just tell it what I want to do. And when I say tell it what I want to do, again, it's not make me $1 million app. That's not what it is. It's I have an idea or I have a direction, a concept. Let's plan it out. Let's talk through it. I'm going to ask questions like, maybe should we use, it's a website project. Should we use Astro for this? I know Astro, so like I'm familiar with it. Are there any other things that we could potentially look into? You know, should we just use regular HTML and CSS if it's a little simple situation? Should we use, you know, if it's some sort of, if it's an app, right? Or if it's a workflow, right? Maybe we're using Python for the actual, you know, like the script writing and stuff like that for different things. And I'm also not saying that I'm like a genius at any of this. That's not the case at all. But I'm learning, and I'm learning way more about way more shit than I was when I was just looking at WordPress stuff. Because now, again, this is the point, is that when you step out of this and you actually try to think about what's out there and what's possible, you realize, wait a second, I have the power now. I have the power to build websites however I want, or build 3D game type apps, or build like platforms, basically like web apps or whatever, because I have the idea, I can think about it, and I can ask questions, and I can research and plan, and in some ways it's extremely enabling, right? It enables everyone to do different things, like founders and stuff like that can do whatever they want now, rather than having to rely on big teams. I don't love that because I don't love the idea of anybody being able to do anything. I think that there is a lot of valid pushback to that. So, but you're going to have that regardless, right? I mean, it's no different. Again, I use the WordPress example. It's no different in WordPress. You have like random business owners and random lay people doing that stuff all the time, and you get the websites with 50,000 plugins and they don't work very well, right? But the bottom line is that my eyes have been opened. The story could actually be told without AI. AI is the thing that enabled it, but my eyes have been open to the fact that there's a world outside of WordPress. It's vibrant. It's vast, and it's literally everything other than WordPress. Like, it's any other technology, it's any other framework, it's any other whatever. And I don't know what this is called necessarily, because I think there's a lot of people that are like, this role is like new. But the best thing that I could come up with is just like a systems architect, or somebody that's not necessarily a developer by tradition per se, because it's not all, you're not just sitting there understanding syntax, but you are asking questions. You're thinking about the way that things should be structured. You're understanding that, okay, well, if I want to have users and auth and all this stuff, then I got to start layering in a database and all these other things. You, it's no different. The people that are trying to learn and expand their skill set while tinkering and trying experiments with AI, that's exactly where I am. And I think that's like potentially the best place to be right now. The people that are actively giving those people shit for trying that, I think we need to reevaluate that stance, because that doesn't work. It's a little shitty. So yeah, I have this line in here that's going to ruffle a lot of feathers, so I'm going to say it. I say all of that and wrap this up, and then I know there's been some chats here, and then we'll look at some stuff. To kind of put a bow on this is that this is me personally, okay? This is just so you understand my full stance after these last 3 months, and then I can show you the projects that I've worked on and all this stuff and everything. And I'm actually excited now. Okay, that's the big thing. It's how I feel. It's like I'm excited. I'm learning. I'm actually being a better business person as well. We could talk about that, but that's a separate issue. This is the line that I've started to come up with, okay? The people that I'm talking about here, okay? I'm not saying WordPress is going away, okay? Not saying WordPress is going away in 18 months. There's that viral tweet, and he's like, "Oh, WordPress is cooked in 18 months." I just want to say a couple pieces about this, okay? I don't think WordPress is going away, okay? I also don't have a crystal ball, so I don't know. I think it would be a silly prediction to say that WordPress is going away. However, I do just want to like kind of think about. I just want to again, more observation. I never hear anyone criticize and say the things that I hear about WordPress, and maybe it's because I'm tapped into WordPress. It's fair. But I don't hear people say the same things about WordPress that I hear people. Or let me rephrase. I don't hear the same things said about other companies than I do about WordPress. I don't constantly hear. There's a line that I have in my notes here. It's two things. Anytime that I talk to WordPress, or I talk about WordPress to anybody outside of the WordPress bubble, I hear two things. I see two things. It is I always tell this story. I was on the golf course with my friend who's in insurance, and it was a year and a half ago, and I say, yeah, I talk about WordPress. I build WordPress websites, and he says, WordPress is still a thing? Okay. Listen, don't get triggered when you hear that. Okay. I'm not telling you, I'm not going crazy. We're not doing anything crazy here. Okay. What I'm saying is that that's a random layperson. Okay. But they don't say that about Apple. They don't say that about Google. They probably don't say that about Wix or Squarespace. They don't say that about anything. And I'm not going down this rabbit hole because I've fucking had this conversation for the last 2 years, and I'm just sick of it at this point. But this is going to be pretty much the last time I'm saying it. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, so that's the people that don't know anything, okay? Valid. The people that do know stuff that are outside the bubble, they say constantly, like, WordPress is shit. It's, like promoting WordPress, or like I saw it, like recommending WordPress today is like wild, like stuff like that. Again, these are people saying shit on the internet. Not saying that it's completely valid. What I'm saying is that if those things are being said about the thing you're using, you should take it somewhat seriously. And then I get comments back that say, I don't take like random word of mouth criticism and stuff like that seriously. I get it, but also I don't get it. So I'm done with it. It's whatever. My point is that the line that's going to upset people is that if you don't know what else is out there, if you don't know what else is possible and you don't try to expand your knowledge base of tools, you will one day, most likely, at some point, be like, I'm not telling you, okay, I'm just going to say the line because I'm fucking up too bad. I'm not telling you to jump off the Titanic, but I'm just telling you, you should know where the lifeboats are and you should know how to use the lifeboats. That's all I'm saying. I'm not even saying the Titanic's going to hit an iceberg. We might be living a different reality. I'm just telling you, that's the situation. Okay? So that's it. That's all for that, because that's how I feel. That's what I've seen. I feel like somebody that has, hopped over a fence and like has seen like all this other shit out here. And I'm not saying the grass is necessarily all greener on the other side. That's not what I'm saying either. If you have a profitable business right now, if you are building WordPress websites and you're making, whatever, $200,000 a year, $300,000 a year, whatever you're comfortable, and you don't want to grow, shut this fucking stream off and don't ever talk to me ever again. Like seriously, like do whatever you want. Like I'm not a prophet, okay? I'm just explaining literally just explaining my trajectory, my life, my lived experience. And I just went through 2 years of incredible lived experience tightly in the WordPress environment. I'm not saying I don't have friends. I'm not saying I'm not still in the community, but deeply ingrained. And if you watch any of the channel, you know how deeply ingrained I was in there. And I just learned a lot of stuff, okay? That's all. And I'm trying to explain it to you in a live stream on a Thursday, okay? That's what I'm trying to do here. There's no malintent. There's no nothing. I'm just telling you what's going on. Don't come at me. Whatever. You want to come at me, fine. It's whatever. It's fine. But like, I understand. It's just, we're dealing with people's livelihoods, okay? The world is changing rapidly. And, I have a son on the way in May. I'm just trying to make sure that like, I don't hate my life every single day. And I'm trying to make sure that I'm making some money, And I'm going to be honest with you, the way that I felt as a web designer, as a website builder, I felt like my value was extremely going straight down. That could be because I hate design. So as soon as I found a tool, I'll tell you this as we transition into the AI stuff, the real thing that actually kind of really did spark me here was as soon as Gemini 3 Pro came out, and everybody's saying it was like really good for UI and everything like that, and you can make really good stuff really quickly. So if you go to like Google AI Studio was like the very first place. It was amazing. It was like, oh my God, I don't have to deal with templates or anything. I don't have to deal with manually reconstructing pages or sections or stuff like that I find from inspiration, because I don't want to do that. And if you want to do that, do it. I don't want to do that. Like I said, this is my live stream. This is kind of about me. Maybe it resonates with you. Maybe it doesn't. If it doesn't, sorry, and you're free to leave. But I didn't want to do that. That is not, if you know me, you know me. I like the way things connect, the way things relate, the data architecture, all of that. And, I also don't want a job. So like, I'm not going to like go be a data architect or something like that. So then it becomes, well, how do I spin that into a different, not necessarily a different business, but like a different model to some degree. And like I said, when AI got to the point where it could build actually good design, I was like, damn, this is really, really enticing. So I started that, and I can show you some of the things that I've designed kind of from that aspect. And there's so much more that's happened just in the 3 months since I first started that. But that was the big thing. I didn't want to be a web designer. I felt like, not like I didn't want to be a web designer. I love building websites, but I still feel like, and this is the last thing I'll say, then I'll look at the chat. I still believe, free to disagree, because it's, you can have an opinion. Just being a web designer has been, like, if you take a graph and you think of the value that you have as a web designer, it has been going down, the value inherently, just like the straight up value. I'm not saying individual web designers. I'm saying the overall general value of a web designer has been going down. I don't really know if it's been like straight down. It's probably been like relatively linearly for 10 years. Now, I'm not saying it's at zero, okay? I'm saying it's been going down. At what, slope? I don't know. A little bit. It's at least been going down. It is at least less valuable now than it was then. Asterisk. When I say web designer, I mean a web designer, like somebody that just builds websites. I feel like I have to caveat every statement that I say for more description, so we're all on the same page. I don't mean there's no value. I don't mean that websites aren't valuable. It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if you are just designing websites, even designing and developing websites, your value is going down because, at least in my experience, clients don't understand. They don't understand if you would have said to somebody, let me say it differently. If you would have said to somebody in 2003 that you could build them like a beautiful custom website, when that was the thing to have, like amazing, no social media really, there's nothing going on, right? That's amazing. Like those crazy 90s looking websites that came out, like that looked really cool, like that was amazing at that time. And that was the thing. But now you have businesses, you have huge businesses. I don't care if they're YouTubers, I don't care if they're whatever, like huge businesses that don't even rely on their website. I'm not saying they don't use it at all, but I'm saying they have other distribution channels and they have other ways in which they get in front of people. And now with AI, it's a whole nother thing. So if you disagree with this, let me know. That's fine. But this is what I think. Now, me thinking about this and having this in my mind of like, well, I already have clients that I built websites for. I could go find more clients to build websites for and try to sell them on the idea of a $10,000 website that they could build for themselves, or they could have somebody else build, or they could get off Fiverr or whatever. Why don't I evolve and ascend up the service ladder, up the thought ladder, up the whatever else you want to call it? I got to think that, articulate that a little bit more. Why don't I ascend? Why don't I become more valuable? Seems like a responsible thing to do. Again, if you don't want to do it, don't fucking do it. But I'm saying like, that seems like that was my responsible play that I decided to make. So I decided to do that. And what that ultimately looked like has been changing my entire business, changed the name because I hated the fucking name before. And I changed it to like marketing, changed the marketing systems. It's still an evolution, but I'm not a web designer. I'm not a web design agency. That's not what I am. And maybe you have the capability of this, maybe you don't. But I'm not going to sit as a web designer anymore. I'm not going to do that. That doesn't make any sense for me. I'm going to be more of a holistic partner, digital partner, technological partner for my clients. And let me just say this. I know I keep saying this, and then I'll look at some of the chats. But there's this thought in my mind recently. When I was first developing the skill of web design, I learned Elementor, and I was, I've always been in WordPress, and I learned Elementor, and then, I just was able to put together a website in 2017, 2018. And I always suffered from this idea of, I know I'm talented, but I don't feel like I'm as talented as potentially the other people that would be, in the running for these projects, et cetera, or whatever. And at the time it was like, whatever, I was getting like referral clients. Like I shouldn't have thought about that at all. But my point is that maybe you feel like this. Let me know if this resonates with you. You feel like sometimes that your client wants you to do something that you know how to do. Unless you're the person that literally never does anything other than design and develop websites, like you've probably dabbled in other things. You've probably dabbled in like a little bit of like maybe paid advertising, or a little bit of like actual graphic design, or a little bit of SEO or something like that. I'm not telling you to sell people shit that you can't do, but I am telling you there is about a 99.9% chance that you know more than your client does about whatever they're asking you to do. And when you step back and think about this, if you are trying to expand your business, and I'm not saying like start taking jobs to, you know, oh, your client says that the roof at their office is leaking and you're the website guy and you want to take the roofing job. That's not what I'm saying, okay? Within the confines of technology, okay? That is how I felt. I felt like that. I felt that, you know what, I know more than my clients about these things, and I am doing them for my own business, my own personal brand, my own entity of, you know, formerly Find a Tech, now Motive 11, right? I'm doing all this stuff. Like I did the rebrand myself. I built the website again. I did all the social media stuff again. I did all these things. If your clients need those services, consider offering them. I'm not saying advertise them, but I'm saying considering offering them. Because the more exposure that you can get through your own work and through your client work to that stuff, the more confident you're going to feel and the more valuable you're going to get. I'm going to tell you something, it's going to hurt, okay? Buckle up. Unless you are building e-commerce websites, the websites that you're building for your clients do not have any tangible ROI associated with them. I know that hurts. I know you're probably going to push back in some way. I said tangible. The website just being there does not actually make money. It does make the business look more professional. It does communicate. It does potentially get leads via a little bit of, depending on what you're doing, because again, this is a whole nother thing, SEO, whatever. But are you doing the SEO? Are you doing the paid ads? You see what I'm saying? Like all I'm saying is, again, this is a me thing, okay? I'm not trying to talk to you. I'm not trying to talk at you. I felt like I wasn't providing enough value to my clients in that industry, in that sect of the industry. So I changed. I ascended, I evolved, I did whatever. I don't know what to tell you. And since then, I've been able to, again, it's only been 3 months, I've been able to actually have different conversations with my clients. I've been way more confident because I know that the things that I'm doing actually can drive value. I'm thinking differently. I'm talking in numbers, which is uncomfortable. I understand. It's uncomfortable to talk in cost of how much it costs for you to acquire a lead right now. But here's the beautiful part. Also, in some ways, think about your clients. Think about them. Are you dealing with clients that like know a lot more than you? Or are you dealing with clients that kind of are on the same level or know less than you? I'm sure it's all over the place. But my point is, understand who you're talking to and understand that realistically, if I had to guess, the clients that you're dealing with, like I said earlier, know way less than you. And that's not a bad thing. They know a lot about whatever their service is or what have you. If you're a digital person and you've been watching videos about WordPress and AI and all these different things for so long, you know a lot about how to make the digital side of businesses better. So just take some of that confidence in, actually apply it, and then have those conversations with clients. And don't, honestly, if I had to recommend you, I'm not saying become like an AI automation agency. I'm toying with the concept of that, but I'm actually, as a side note, like I don't even love the idea of just teaching AI because it is kind of just like buzzy. It's very helpful, but like, and you need to work through like the basics before you get to like applied stuff. So it's a whole thing. But anyway, if you're trying to give people value and give your clients value, if that's what you're trying to do, you need to provide valuable things that are ROI positive. And again, like I said, just didn't feel like it. I just didn't feel like I was doing that. Maybe you feel like that. Maybe you feel like the WordPress websites or the websites that you put together or the brochure websites are incredibly valuable to people and you're able to sell them for $10,000, $15,000, or you're able to sell them at like, $2,000 a pop and you're able to rip through them. Look, I don't know your business. You're probably making more money than me. Don't even listen to me, but that's kind of how I felt. So I'm trying to give you the honest story because I'm extremely honest and transparent about everything that I do. You can see that through all the content that I make. And my mind does change. So if you would have asked me a year ago, it might have been different than now. If you ask me a year from now, it's probably gonna be different because the world moves at an incredible breakneck pace. So let me just check my notes here real quick. To summarize, I have this other line in here. With all that said, I just don't believe, and we could get more into this from a technical perspective, but I just don't believe that WordPress is the default play anymore. I think that it's been like that for a very long time for me, and I don't think it's that way anymore. I just know that because when I go in there, I don't want to do any work. Like I don't want to do it. It feels very slow. Not WordPress itself feels very slow. Let me take that back, because this is extremely nuanced, because some websites suck and whatever, like some builds of it suck and stacks suck, and there's like so much variance there. What I'm saying is, me personally, I go into websites that I was building, 6 months ago, 9 months ago, and I'm like, I have seen, this is where I've been radicalized. I have seen the light. I have seen that with a couple prompts, this whole thing could be done, and it could be done just as good, if not better, and orders of magnitude faster. And speed, I didn't want to agree with it. I didn't want to agree with it when I heard it initially. That speed, I was very reluctant to this concept of speed is really important. Speed is everything. Speed, speed, speed. I still don't fully agree that speed is everything. Speed is very important, because especially if you're solo and you want to stay solo and you don't really want to have a team, speed is incredibly important, because I've spent wasted so much time from getting a referral or a lead to proposal, let alone from proposal to actually finishing the delivery. You will not survive. I'm going to say that because I really believe that one. You will not survive if you don't start prioritizing some level of speed. I'm not saying sacrifice quality. It's not what I'm saying. And we could have an endless debate on what quality actually is, okay? And I will say quality and best practices, not exactly a one-to-one thing, because there are different ways to like have a quality outcome without going with best practices from a methodology standpoint. Separate issue. But my point is that regardless of whatever the case is there, speed is actually incredibly vital. And you don't understand how vital it is until you actually start doing shit fast. And you're like, damn, I could do this fast. Oh, yeah, I don't want to do things slow anymore. And that's how I feel. Because now I have websites and projects and clients that are on what I would call legacy stacks, and I'm like, oh, man, I'm almost tempted to just rebuild them with a Claude Code situation in like Astro or something like that, which is a whole nother technical, aside. I've been up on this pulpit here for a while about all this different stuff, but like the technical stuff aside, it's something to consider, and I don't know where I'm at with that yet. I don't have an answer for you on that yet. Yeah, basically that's pretty much it. I think for the main thoughts there, I think I kind of hit most of them. Yeah, I was complacent in WordPress before, and I'm doing much better now that I'm learning new things, and I don't feel like I'm stagnating. So this has mostly been a me conversation. Maybe some of it resonated with you. Maybe you hated all of it, but that was what wow, that was 43 minutes of me talking. Okay, cool. Great. All right. So let me rip through some of these chats. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. And if you have questions or whatever, then we'll continue to, I have all the projects that I've done pulled up over here. I can talk to you about all of them. We can look at some of the code. We can discuss things. And yeah, again, to wrap that part of that up, like this has been an awakening for me, and maybe it's an awakening for you, or maybe you still need more time to be awoken. That's ridiculous. But like, maybe that's the case. There's a lot of nuance here that I didn't hit, obviously, but that's where I'm at. All right, let me look at some of these. How's it popping up? Sweet. Luis Fitness, camera quality is insane. Thank you. Side note on that, Restream, if you're watching, I know you're not, but I do DM my boy Alex over there. Please, for the love of God, at least get me 1440p on this thing. Ecamm, I don't have a Mac. Ecamm has 4K, and it looks fantastic. And this camera is this camera is a Sony. Oh my God, I forget. It's the good one. And then lens is obviously the important part, but we can't stream in 4K. So when I show you my screen, it's gonna look kind of shitty. But yeah. Anyway, thank you so much. I appreciate that comment. Okay, a lot of stuff here I'm sure we're gonna have to look at here. All right, my thinking regarding AI are my employees that I pay less than minimum wage for. Yeah, I mean, that's a good way to think about it. I don't know, we kinda get into more societal, philosophical, and psychological stuff there, right? I mean, uh, that rubs people the wrong way all the time, so again, I'm empathetic to that, and I understand it. But I don't I'll kinda I'll concisely say it here. I cannot control where the world is going, I can only control where I go. Barring some sort of crazy revolutionary event, which, day by day, it almost seems like that's more likely to happen because I do, this isn't a political stream. Like it's also it's beyond politics at this point. It's societal. It's just like human stuff there's going on. It's not right, left. It's just fucking there's all sorts of shit going on, obviously. But here's the reality in my purview when it comes to that. Because I'm not afraid to talk about that stuff, but like it genuinely almost to me seems like you should have a beat on it. You should understand. I know I'm going wild with the way this comment was, but that's where my mind went. Sorry. You should have a beat on it and you should kind of understand what's happening. However, it's not worth, personal opinion, as always, it's not worth my time because if I worry about that, unless I incite, I'm not doing this, by the way, whoever's moderating the stream, unless you actually incite some sort of situation there that ultimately results in you winning, right? Unless you are the founding fathers, and I'm not talking about an individual country, I'm talking about like all the societal stuff and like how AI is going and all these things. You can't like you're not gonna benefit in any way. So that was super wild tangent. But my point is that I see this as an opportunity where like I feel that I'm a good individual and I'm doing good. I'm trying to do good. I'm trying to do good by myself, my clients, etc., and my family. So if I can move myself forward, then I can also help bring other people forward and just help other people in general, whether that's learning AI, whether that's making their businesses better, whether that's philanthropy at some point when I have enough money to do that, because I don't. So, you know, philanthropy, I don't know. But yeah, so sorry, that was a crazy way to explain that. But yes, uh, yeah, it's employees that you can pay less than minimum wage. I mean, pretty much. Good way to put it. There's a lot more deeper stuff there. Only grandpas are using WP. I mean, I wouldn't say that. There's some grandmas. No, I'm just kidding. Um, no. It's not only old people, okay? I just said the average age is up there, and that's not a criticism, that is an observation of how it has evolved. It makes total sense. There have been it's been around for a very long time. It's a very mature platform. It's an extremely capable platform. I will say it's also inherently it at least seems to me, we could have other people say that it's not. It's an inherently it is monolithic. That's a fact. It's all one system, but it's also inherently heavy. And like the initial part of it was not. It wasn't built to be a website tool. It was built to be a blogging platform. Which again, it's capable of being a website tool for sure. But I don't know how else to explain this other than the simplest way to explain this is that you can still use it. I'm not saying that I don't use it. I use it. But it was built 23 years ago, okay? And I'm not 100% on the history, but I don't think it's ever been like rebuilt from the ground up. So all I'm saying is take everything else off the table and just think about anything in your life that has not gone through some sort of like fully architectural, like if anything else in your life is 26 years old, anything else in digital life is, I'm sorry, 23 years old. Should you even see anything from year one anymore? And again, it's not even a criticism. It's the reality of the situation. It is very difficult to do that. I don't know how much money, time, energy, and everything that would take. But I'm just saying, if something comes out 5 years ago, it has a leg up because it's just newer. It's newer, it's sexier, it's more like modern and contemporary in whatever way. Like it's just got a lot of baggage. And it's not bad. I mean, it's just is what it is. So again, longer answer than you wanted there. It's not just grandpas. It's other people. It's myself. I just turned 30. Okay. I'm getting old. But it's a very highly capable platform. It's served me well. It's made me money. I don't have bad things to say about it, even though people watch this shit and they'll probably think it's bad. I have bad things to say about it. I'm just navigating it and I'm telling you how I feel about it. So yeah. Do I look really white in the stream? Do I need to turn these lights down or something? I have a tan. Okay, WordPress as a whole isn't moving as fast as everything else. So this is a good point. I think traditionally that's definitely been the case. I will give credit where credit is due. James LePage, who I will say is younger than I am. Okay, so that's just another motif, and way more successful than I am. He has come in and done some really cool stuff. I'm not saying I mean I think he's spearheaded a lot of the AI movements and things like that, obviously, because he is the AI guy, along with a good team in there. There is a level to say, though, this is another sort of nuanced thing. WordPress is I don't even know why I'm talking. You know what we should do? We should just go into I wanted to do this. We should just go into AI and just talk to it like I would talk to it if I was just by myself, like doing these things. But like WordPress is this huge monolithic heavy beast. Not technically, sort of, but I mean just as a thing, as an entity, as a whatever. It is hard to move, right? Generally, big companies move slow. What's really interesting, though, and telling, okay, is that Google, as an example, is a huge company, like larger than WordPress, obviously. WordPress is just like the largest open source thing, which is a whole nother like piece of that makes it difficult. And I often wonder, has WordPress broken past the level at which an open source I actually asked this. I wish I could find the thread. Maybe I could. It has broken past the level of a hypothesis. It's potentially broken past the reasonable level that an open source project could be at and function at the highest level possible. That's a hypothesis. I'm not saying that. Okay, don't clip me and say that it's a hypothesis, because it feels that way. I'm not saying it is. It feels that way. It feels like with something this vast that is this consumer. That's the other thing too. Is it's this consumer connected, and like it's all about like everyone and like the users and stuff like that, rather than like the developers and the people building on it. It is about that too, but like it's so interconnected on both sides there. The hypothesis is that maybe it's broken past maybe there's like a line that nobody has crossed before, and it's crossed it, and it's like, oh, now we're in the ether and we don't know how to do. And I mean, that's real. I mean, that's reality too. Like you don't always, there's a level of potential innovation that comes not just from a technical perspective, but also from a just like a reality of that, right? That maybe there's a way to fix that, or maybe there's a way to get past that and not restructure, but kind of like realign and kind of like set a new standard or something. I don't know. In like WordPress, or not WordPress, but an open source project scope of that level. I don't know. Okay, these are big problems. I'm just talking on the internet, and those types of things. I don't have as much level insight as to how I feel and how I operate on a day to day. Like I just talked to you for 45 minutes about. But yeah, to answer the question again in a long format, I would say that it definitely seems to move slower and feels like it's moving slower. But as of late, they have started to pick up the pace on the AI stuff. It's just like, how well will it work? How, what will the actual applications be, the implementations and things like that? I've seen some promising stuff. If you watch my other video, I was able to, go into Claude Code and, put stuff through via the block editor. I don't even know if that was like really the AI shit. Honestly, I need to like look more into the abilities API and all that sort of stuff. But yeah. You are an AI genius. I appreciate that, Page Build Lab. I'll take it. I will take it as a compliment. I appreciate that. I don't know if I would give myself that moniker there, but I appreciate that. Brendan Connell, my man. Brendan O'Connell was on the this train way before I was, so you guys should go check him out and subscribe there as well. Liz says, this is just good advice for life. Have options, have a backup plan, diversity. Yeah, appreciate that, Lizzie. Yeah, I would just, I don't know what to tell you guys. I mean, people get upset, and again, like it's rightfully so. You're very. I understand it, guys. I really do. I try to be as empathetic as possible. I understand everybody's in different places of the world, different places of their life, different places just in age in general, not just whatever. I'm 30 years old. I have a son on the way. I live in the United States. I don't feel like I don't feel like I've made enough money from my skill in the last 8 years because of me being a bad business person, me checking out too many different things, like learning too much, which hasn't been a bad thing, but something just clicked especially when I turned 30, but even like again the end of last year. I I need to understand more. I need to have like I need to be a better business person, but I need to have that type of plan and that type of like this is not this might not be the only way. And also there's a level to just like you have to be excited about waking up and coming down to your office or going to your office or whatever and working, and I just wasn't. So, I that's just how I navigated it. And here I am with again the not just all that, but the reality is I feel like I'm way more valuable to my clients now. I actually have a CRM with a pipeline of projects in it that are things that I know how to do, but are like slightly outside of my comfort zone as well. And that's the only way you grow there as well. So it's like, let's go figure them out. Let's go set up some different pipelines and flows and things and see what we can do. And then realistically, small business advice thing here is like, just real quick, because this will resonate with you guys. When I was first starting out in websites, I remember very vividly, I would watch, uh, what's his face? I would watch a Nerd's World, Chris Hughes. Don't know where he's at right now. I think he's still doing the Christmas list stuff. That's a blast from the past. Anyway, when he was doing the website stuff, he seemed relatively successful. And he had other people did this, but he was just the one I watched on YouTube. He had packages. He had like bronze, silver, gold. Not a crazy thing, but the way that he explained it and everything, he had bronze, silver, gold of like websites. And I never wanted to do that. I never wanted to have that productized feel to a design service, even though I wasn't a designer, but like I just felt like I don't want to give you like a cookie cutter website. I immediately rejected the idea of like the theme thing as soon as I got into WordPress. I remember what was the theme that I saw, I think was it Hestia? And then there was some other like bold theme or something. And this was before I found a page builder, and I was like, okay, I want to do this. I promise this is going to make sense in a second. But like I saw those templates, I saw those like themes where you could only change certain stuff unless you went and actually messed with the PHP template and all that. And again, this is like early-ish page builder type thing. And then I found page builder. I was like, okay, this is amazing. Yeah, I don't want my website to just look like some other template thing, even though at the time I didn't realize that what I do now, and I didn't realize that business owners really didn't give that much of a shit, especially back then. They would have just been better off with a website that functioned and had their information on it. I thought like, oh, the design part was like the most important thing. Not saying it's not important. It's not the most important thing, right? Like your website could look beautiful and have nothing on it, and the bakery that you're building that for ain't gonna get any business, right? So I didn't understand that at first. And my point in saying that now is because now I come to this AI situation, these different workflows. It's a different business model, but it's still tangentially related to everything that I've done. And I think to myself, you know what? I'm actually in a similar situation. I shouldn't be thinking about this from everything has to be completely bespoke and completely custom. In some cases it does have to be, because you have to learn enough about like a business and you have to get their understanding. And you can build these custom pipelines, but there are a lot of things that you can sell that are much more productized here. And the beautiful part is that, and again, this is really the me thing, this part. None of this is design. None of the stuff that like I'm pitching to clients now is like really a lot of design. It's like back end, it's pipelines, it's workflows, it's automations that move the business forward, because they're not always just like, they could be on kind of both sides of the house. They could still be like front end, so to speak, like simpler, almost like lead flow things, but they could also be in the operations side. But again, the beautiful part is like, I don't need to design either because the tools can do that and help me with that as well. So again, long ramble there, but yeah, I think you need to have that. You need to have that plan. Okay, Devas, what do we got here? It was always the same case. Designers are needed for a business that wants to stand out with their brand. Branding is important. Yeah, no, I mean, I again, like I said, I don't think it's the most important thing, but I do think that if you do want to stand out, obviously you need that. I would just say now though, it's the rules have changed, to Call of Duty line. Pretty funny. And I think that you can do a lot of that. I mean, again, the Motive 11 stuff, like I did that on my own. Is it the best in the world? No, but I did it fast. And it looks, I would argue it looks professional. So I'm not saying those people are gone. What I am saying though is you can't fake it anymore. You have to either go hard into that, or you have to be the person that says you are more of a generalist, so to speak, and you can do those other things. And if they don't value those other things, like at, the, whatever it is, the big New York agency, $500,000 for a logo or some shit like that, which again, I would argue most people don't need that, then you could help them in other ways and also potentially layer that in if you need to. That's why agencies exist, so they can offer more than just one website. As you as a freelancer, can't know it all. You can understand it, but when comes time to do the work that needs to be done, that needs to be done, you need time. Yeah, I know these were from earlier. So like, yeah, I agree with that to an extent. I just think that now everything's so fast. Like you can do things very, very quickly. And I'm not talking specifically to you, David House, but in general, you never know what other people know or don't know. It's a weird thing to think, but sometimes I forget this. I never know what other people have experienced or what they haven't experienced. So every single time I'm talking to somebody, it's almost like I have to ask them like 10 questions to understand where they're at and what they've actually experienced. I'm actually going to riff on this for a second. I do need to check my front door and make sure nobody steals my monitors that I bought. Okay, I think they're on the ground. That might not even be my monitors, actually. I hate Amazon. They said it would be here yesterday. Anyway, I bought these monitors in October. The one is already breaking. Don't buy an LG gaming monitor if your life depends on it. Anyway, I want to riff on this for a quick second, okay? I've had conversations with people in the like prominent, very intelligent, very capable people, like in the WordPress space and beyond, over the last 3 months or whatever. You do not know, when you have one of these types of conversations I'm about to explain to you, you do not know what the people know until you actually ask them what they have experienced. And obviously that to be honest, but you don't know. And it's not like you don't ask them like, have you ever even used AI, or have you ever used, no, that's not how you ask them. You just ask them like a human, like, hey, what have you been exposed to? What have you tried? What have you, et cetera. And you have to be very careful, because this is extremely, unbelievably prevalent on the internet now. And it kind of makes me sick, and I do my absolute best to never do it. I probably slip up because I'm not perfect, but I always try to talk from experience. And if I'm guessing, I'm trying to throw in like the hypothesis thing based on like critical thought. I'm not saying like this is, the answer, or this is how it is. It's like more of like, maybe, everything I'm piecing together, this is my hypothesis. It could change. You just have to be very careful, because not a lot of people do that. But what I'm saying is that you don't know how much people know until you actually ask them. So you can't have an honest conversation with them until you get that information. You can't tell them, somebody could tell you that AI sucks. If somebody said that to me, I would be like, I think you're mistaken, sir or madam. What have you done with AI? How have you used it? Not only is it like an exposure thing, some people get mad when you say this. It's also probably a skill issue. Okay. So, and that's not a criticism. That is an observation of like, you haven't tried. You haven't put in any amount of time. This is why a month ago, I didn't want to like necessarily talk about any of this, because I hadn't tried it enough. I still have so much more shit to do. I haven't even tested like OpenClaw enough or anything like that. Like there's a million things, and there's going to be more million things. But I'm saying like be careful with who you're listening to in what context, and just ask them, okay, so that's your opinion, but like what have you actually tried? What have you actually done? And if they can give you a good answer and everything, then okay, like, take that for what it's worth. But then, now you just get into like opinions and stuff like that. But I don't know. I just wanted to express that because I've had these conversations and people say that AI is not good for certain things. But then I also kind of hear in the same breath that they haven't really given it a fair chance for biases or time constraints or whatever it is. Again, it's not a criticism. It's just like you can't always take it at face value without getting more information. So that's that. I don't even know where the hell that came from, but it was something that I needed to say. Amen to speed. People don't want to wait a week for a proposal. 100%. That's just it. I've just wasted so much money, lost so much money by doing that. Don't rebuild them. It will always work against you. Learn from my mistakes. Yeah, no, I'm not trying to rebuild them. I wouldn't want to try to build them for free. I wouldn't want to try to rebuild them for free. Honestly, what I'm doing, I actually have a client right now, older Elementor website. That, I don't know what they did with the recent stuff. Like if you're not indoctrinated, excuse me, into the old Elementor ways, like I had to build like so much stuff to make Elementor work the way that I wanted it to. If you ever wanted like certain like carousel item things back in the day or whatever, and I never like refactored them because again, like I have things to do. And I didn't pitch my clients on a refactor as things went. So there are things in Elementor in this Elementor website that just don't work anymore. And there's like plugin conflicts and stuff. And I had to completely disable like a few plugins to make this website stop critical erroring and all these other things. And I'm like, we're going to lose stuff about your website. We're going to lose features about your website. And the website's like 5 years old, so it's not like it was built yesterday. We're going to lose critical features about your website because we have to disable this stuff. Why don't we just consider a rebuild? You know what I mean? Because it's mostly a brochure site. And here's the other part, okay, real quick on this, and I can go deeper on this at some point, probably not today, but this business of now, think about this, okay? This is a little wacky, all right? Think about this. If you could build a website that is at the quality standards that you want with AI in a quarter of the time that you could build one with WordPress right now, do you have to even charge the same amount of money? I'm not trying to make this a race to the bottom. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm trying to say that, like, if you could do like the same amount of work in less time, you could just charge the same amount of money too. But I'm saying that, like, for me, it's like it was giving me another opportunity to make a different price point for my clients, because I know that the amount of work that I'm going to do is actually probably the amount of time is probably going to be less. Now, do you want to always like charge based on your time direct? No, not really. But I'm just saying that it's another option. Okay. And when you're in business, you can't always do things as best as possible. You can't always be pitching $200,000 or $200,000 websites, $20,000, whatever, to clients that don't need that. So if you're the type of person that is in the stage of your business where you're taking work from different people and you feel like, oh, I gotta somehow quote them for this crazy build that's going to take me all this amount of time and energy and everything like that, it's just something to consider. It's just another tool. It's another option for you. And when everyone else is using it, maybe not right now, but in the future, just know it's out there. I've got social asking, David asked something. Free rebuild. Don't rebuild. Yeah, I'm going to assume it's free rebuild. Yeah, it's a side conversation here. Yeah, no one will help you. Your new method will be legacy again soon enough. Why would you burn your time? Which doesn't. Yeah, I mean, I would just say make sure you're getting paid if you're going to do that. Yeah. They moved away from clients. I should have spent that time to improve other things for the client instead of being obsessed with the rebuild. Yeah, I would agree. It is very situational. Yeah. Cool. Curtis, what's up? We need something covering this angle. Mark, thank you. I wish I knew what angle that was. Easy, what's up? Sell more of whatever tool. That's always been the move in business. Yeah, definitely. You can do things quickly, but you will get fatigued real quick because everything needs to be thought out. You can do things quickly, but you will get fatigued real quick because everything needs to be thought out. I'm not sure I'm understanding your position here, David asked at this point. Something can be automated, but most of it requires creative touch, which AI can't do. Okay, so I am going to pick on you, David Doss. I love you, man. I think what you're talking about is taste. Okay. And taste is definitely still lacking from AI. But so in another way, you could say that the biggest skill for you to have is the ability to articulate taste. That I haven't heard anybody say it exactly like that. Okay. So that's one thing that I would say is if you can articulate taste well to an LLM, to a model, to whatever, then that could be a really, really useful skill. Because if we're going under the assumption that it doesn't have it, then that's that. The one thing I'll say is that I don't like making those types of claims, okay? Because what has happened over the last year or so, or even longer, but let's just keep the last year, right? 1 year ago, we would have been sitting here having a conversation saying AI cannot build websites. I'm going to spoil it for you guys. AI can build websites, and they're pretty fucking good, okay? I'm not saying it can do it by itself necessarily. I mean, you could. That's also kind of like that's also kind of some other BS because it's like you could definitely make it build it by itself, but you would have to put input in. You know what I mean? So it's whatever. But my point is that it's not, again, this isn't a taking jobs conversation. This is, I would just be careful. I would hesitate to say things like AI doesn't have the creative touch. It might in a year. So, I mean, it didn't, Claude, beautiful example. Claude didn't have, I mean, this is even more direct right here. Claude Code couldn't make good websites, like websites that look good, right? And then, you know the solution to making it like 10 times better? Maybe it's not the best. Maybe it's not the best thing in the world. Maybe it's not the best designer, capable of the best designer. But you know what what made Claude Code go from base LLM websites with the blue, if you know what I'm talking about, like the blue and purple gradient buttons and all this shit, and it looks like it looks terrible. You know what made it go from that to like very, very like professional looking, decent color, picks, decent font options, stuff like that? A markdown file that's like less than 100 lines of text. And it's called a Claude skill. That's what that's called. And all it is a markdown file. And if you don't know a markdown file, it's literally just like a text document that has some formatting in it, which is neither here nor there. It doesn't really matter. But that's all it is. Somebody wrote that. Anthropic, I think, wrote that directly from the feedback that they got. And it says, don't do AI slop. Don't do these types of buttons. Don't do these main fonts. And it just directed the model to not use that shit. And now the websites look literally 10 times better that it outputs. So all I'm saying is that if you can do that with a text document, I'm not saying you could create taste the same way, but it's just like I would be careful with making that type of a claim. Maybe that's the case right now, but I don't even like making those types of claims. I don't even like saying that it can't do things because I genuinely think it's going to be able to continue to do more and more. So it's like I just want to stay on top of what it can do right now and not even worry about what it can't, because it can do so much. By the time I need it to do something, it might actually be able to do it. OpenClaw is a great example that I don't have enough experience with, so I can't completely talk about it. But it does a bunch of shit. Security shit aside, okay, let's leave that aside. Okay, we are absolutely still in the wild, wild west, early times of this. And if you're anywhere near this topic, you are literally no more than 99.9% of people on the earth, okay? And if you watch my AI crash course, you will know more than 99% of people about AI. But maybe more than that. But yeah, so that's my whole thing there is I would urge people to be careful about that part of it, because literally I've almost seen people in like before they're done with the sentence, AI can't blank, the AI can do it. Or you can get the AI to do it. That's the other thing too. It's like we're kind of almost past this point now where like the AI has to do shit. It's almost like it's a model. It's a language model doing like crazy calculations on a GPU. or in a server farm doing a bunch of calculations on a bunch of GPUs. It is very powerful for you to do whatever you want. Like it's you're the master. So go do it. Okay, what else we got here? Social Buzz Me. Is this hard to read down here? I kind of like it. It's kind of clean, but it's kind of white on white here. I gotta maybe look into that. I came to the same conclusion about charging less, but that will always come back to bite me in the butt. I just need to make sure I have money built in there to correct or update the build. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would also say we could have a business conversation now, some other time, whatever, just in general. But like, I'm also, the other beautiful part about trying to move towards these ROI positive things is the conversations they're tough, like I said at first, but they also become super easy. It's like, seriously, let's do this real quick. I know that I should have said this earlier, but look at this. When I build you a website client, you're going to have a beautiful website and maybe you'll get leads. Maybe you won't. I don't know. Pay me $10,000 and $250 a month to maintain this. And then you're becoming a utility, which isn't bad. Okay. You could do that. I actually would not recommend against it. It's actually built me a solid little small but recurring amount of money that I make for my business, which is great. But at some point, one of two things are going to happen. Either one, they're going to end up moving to a more holistic platform or something like that, or whatever, especially if you don't stay in touch with them, and you're going to lose that recurring revenue that you get for basically doing nothing, okay, every month, the website care plan, the maintenance, whatever. That's the first thing. The second thing, though, is when you move into the realm of the ROI positive things, the conversation changes. And I'm not telling you anything that's new here, okay? I'm just telling you what I've learned. The conversation changes. If you can ask a client, hey, we're going to do this thing for you, whether it's on the front end or the back end. If it's on the front end, we're going to get you more leads. We're going to do scraping things, or we're going to scrape leads, or we're going to do this or that or whatever. You can say like, how much does a lead cost you? You can say, how much would this system help you if you got like 10 more leads? If it costs you $100 to get one lead and you get 10 more leads through this system, that's ultimately, if you're not paying for the leads anymore, but your cost of acquisition, all this other shit is like $100, and you get 10 more leads here. Now you have $1,000 worth of leads here. And if you're closing them, then it's like, it's a better process. You're doing less work, all these different things. You got to figure this out for yourself on your own system. But if you have that, then you can easily say, okay, this system is saving you or generating you, in that case, generating you, what's the average lifetime value of a lead and what's your close rate? If you come to that consensus and you're like, okay, well, every month now you're going to end up getting maybe $2,000 more based on the numbers, like $2,000 more is going to come into your business, then I can easily charge you $200 a month for this, $300 a month for this. I think generally people say like 10%. So whatever they're making directly from your system, you can charge them a recurring fee for to maintain that. So my point is that I don't really feel like you can have that conversation with a brochure website. It's at least way harder because it's not like one-to-one in that sense. Last example on that is on the other end, if you create them something on the back end that saves them time, you can ask them how much before you do it. You can ask them how much is your time worth if you're doing the task, Mr. Business Owner, or like an admin's time. And then you could just be like, oh, well, we're saving you. I had this example happen to me. It's like, I'll show you the example here. It was candidate screening for a recruiting company. And I was like, well, if you're spending, if you think that you're going to have to pay somebody $6,000 to do this operation, every month, then I could charge you, I'm thinking in my mind, I could easily charge them like $1,000, like whatever. Like the maths, it's that simple. It's, you would have paid somebody X to do this. I will charge you 10% of X or 20% of X or whatever. Again, I think 10% is typically, but my point is that it actually becomes an easier conversation. You just have to know how to do it. You just have to get the reps in on doing those types of things. And again, I'm not trying to tell you to change your entire business model. Okay. That's not really what I'm trying to do here, but I'm telling you that it's a better fit for me. And that's kind of where I'm headed, because the AI tools have made it easier to evolve in that way, and easier to learn, and easier to deliver. The angle I have referred to is having someone like you embracing AI. The angle I referred to earlier is having someone like you embracing AI. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I'm doing that. So what was your initial comment there, Chris? We need someone covering this angle. Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I feel like, yeah, I don't know what else I need to add other than like all the 45-minute earlier stuff, but um I hope more people take it seriously and don't completely dismiss it. I think realistically, if you're dismissing it, at some point you're going to have to embrace it anyway, probably forcibly. And I would just love to see more people embrace it earlier rather than later. Is kind of like one way that I would just hope that we don't get backed into a corner. And again, that's just me. I don't want to get backed into a corner. I want to see what it can do now, have the options, have the plan, the diversity, understand where things are headed. So yeah. I'm using GPT since 2.0, so I'm well aware of what it can do and what it could possibly do in a year, and definitely not saying that it will not be able to be creative, but that's not today. Okay, well, that's fair. You didn't say that the first time, so I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, again, you can definitely say what things don't do today. Like I said, I feel like just in my short tenure here, things have changed so rapidly that I can't imagine what's going to look like longer. What I meant is you are not alone. Everything moves really fast. You suffer from decision fatigue, et cetera. So at the end of the day, you automate quite a bit, but you still have limitations to steer it. I would like to challenge you to go and build 2 projects in a month and bring as much value as you can to the client and see where your limit is. This will ground you to what can be done. I almost thought that was AI there for a second because I've never heard anybody say the word ground. I'm just kidding. That would make invaluable content, see your journey and seeing what is actually possible, trying to automate and do as much as possible. Also, for the record, I am not disagreeing with you. I find it genuinely interesting. Perhaps I'm just getting old. Nah, bro, I appreciate you. I know that we've talked a lot here through these chats and stuff. The one thing is like the couple, like the idea of build 2 projects in a month and bring as much value as you can to the client and see where your limit is. I might just be misinterpreting, but I think that's a great segue into like just showing you what I've done in the last few months. So, let's do that, shall we? Let's go. I don't know which view I like. I guess this one's fine. So, a lot of things. Let's just rip. I'm trying to do these in order, but I don't really remember exactly. I think one of the first things that I vibed, so to speak, was motive11.com. If I remember correctly, I went into Google AI Studio first for this, and I built it, and then I realized that if you go to Google AI Studio right now, you will still see, I'm pretty sure, that it only makes like really like web apps, like single page web app type things in like TypeScript and whatever, and React. Which I was like, shit, because I was like in the middle of building this, and then I would like click on the start button and like the URLs weren't changing and things. And I was like, oh, I'm understanding now. This is not really meant for this per se. Or maybe it is meant for it, but it's just not the right structure. Because at that point, I didn't know anything about Astro. I didn't know anything about anything. Okay. I didn't know anything about anything. And now I only knew WordPress. And now I know so much more. So I built this website. I vibe coded it. Is it the best? No. Does it have a bunch of M dashes in it? Because I didn't really care too much about the very initial copy and stuff. Like, I mean, I gave it a ton of context, but I didn't like write all this copy myself. I wanted to see what it could do because I really needed to get the Find a Tech website out of it was literally 1 page and it was trash before. So I wanted to just like crush this and just get this done. And I was really happy with what it did. I think like I said, I did it in Gemini Pro 3 or whatever, because that was the one at the time that this was before like the design skill for Claude. So I did it over there. And then what I did was I took the whole code base that was in that single web app and I put it into Claude Code. And I said, hey, listen, once I figured out about like Astro and stuff, like, hey, take this website and change the code base over to Astro. Just like keep the same vibe and styling and all that sort of stuff, but put it in Astro. Did it immediately. Unbelievable. So then I deployed this on, that was a whole nother journey. I started on like Netlify, and then I tried Vercel, and Vercel is kind of like the gold standard, but also like Cloudflare is pretty good. Cloudflare Pages. The cool part about these static sites is you basically, they're basically free to host, essentially. It's probably an exaggeration depending on how much traffic you're getting, but they're essentially free to host. So you can just host this stuff. There's no like hosting, like WordPress hosting or anything like that. This is just hosted on Cloudflare pages. And then and there's obviously other services. But yeah, so then I created this. I changed it a little bit here and there. The business model is kind of like essentially AI systems audit, which this page is ass, and I'm in the middle. I have a branch right now on GitHub of like a redesign branch, because I don't really like this, and I need more pages, I need more case studies and stuff like that. But this is the minimum viable product. And that's another thing is if you look at my GitHub commit history, I've also learned way more about GitHub. So this is the thing that I'm trying to say is, when you go down this route, if you want to learn, you can learn so quickly and so much that you basically, I'm not going to ruffle feathers. I'm not going to say I've become a developer, but I've become way closer to being a developer than I was before. And if that's not something you want to do, then that's fine. But I do almost think that if you want to have success here, that is kind of like a prerequisite, that you need to become more of that developer mindset or that systems architect mindset. And you need to understand like the technologies. You can't, the thing is good. There's this other line that I didn't say yet, where somebody tweeted something like, I don't really know how much AI is leveling the playing field so much as that it's making people that already knew stuff or at least are ambitious to learn things way more ahead of the pack, rather than like bringing up the rear, so to speak, or the layperson or the whatever. I don't fully agree with that, because I do think it's absolutely made the layperson's life better, just in some way, like they're able to use it, they're able to benefit from it. It's a better experience than, maybe it's not always right, but I think it's getting better in certain ways of just answering things and giving you information. It definitely at least feels better. It's a better experience. But for individuals, I'm just going to say like us, right? Whether you're in web design or you're in technology or whatever, this is the key. And I don't like saying AI anymore, but it is the buzzword. These types of tools and these types of assistant things are the key. You have to steer them though. You can't just tell it to do something completely random. You have to at least give it the concepts and the ideas, etc. And maybe that'll change in the future as well. But I don't know. I do see it as, as we said earlier, I see it as like an employee, and I see it as a partner and somebody that can do work for me and bring things to life way faster than I could, with more specific syntactual knowledge than I could. So yeah, that's what I think. It makes everyone's life better, but it certainly opens more doors for people who's always learning mindset. Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think we have the rocket boosters if we're interested in that. All right, let me rip through some more of these projects. So the next thing I did, I don't know why I did this. I built a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire clone. Please don't sue me from I think Regis Philbin is dead. RIP. Please don't sue me. Yeah, this was, again, a couple prompts. This was in AI Studio. I don't know. This is going to be loud. I think you can hear this maybe, but this was a second thing that I did in there. I put like themes in there, whatever. I don't know if this is actually going to work right now because it has an API key to get this stuff, but sports, maybe it'll work. So like gets the questions with AI. What sport is often referred to as the beautiful game? Soccer. I think you can hear that. How many players on the field? Soccer, football, 11. Sick. Anyway, we're not going to do this, but like you can walk away, you can do whatever. Like, okay, apparently that doesn't work very well. Okay, there we go. But yeah, so I mean, like, that's a silly example, okay? But it's an example. That was like the second thing that I tried to do. At some point, I was watching this guy. I'm not even going to bring it up because it'll probably crash my shit right now. But if you go to Bruno Simon, if you type him in, he has the video. It's like a Three.js website where it's his personal website, and you drive this car around. You can do all this thing. It's got like full gamification achievements and stuff like that, all in your browser. And it's just his personal website, and it has a bunch of stuff. So I was like on a high for, like 2 days about that. And I was like, all right, let me try to build something on my own. And I think I need to refresh this. And I don't know. This might honestly crash my computer. This is like a Three.js website. Why is this not working? It's my keyboard is off. There we go. So like I built this. I didn't build shit. I got to stop saying that. I didn't build anything. Claude built it with my orchestration. And this is just like the simplest thing that I could build here. You know, this didn't take a second. This was not a one-shot prompt, but this is like I'm able to move around. I'm able to run, sprint, you know, or walk, sprint, and everything like that. Jump, move around, do all these things, fall off this building, come back to life. And then if I click on any of these, like I didn't fill this stuff out, but if I click on this, this is like, you know, about me. This would take me over to my YouTube channel, right? So all of these things. And this was just an example because I was just enthralled at the time. But again, when I did this, what I learned was Three.js to a degree. Obviously, I'm not writing the fucking code, but like I understood like what it is. I understood like all the things you have to do. I understood I had to go to that this website actually over here, this Mixamo, to get all these for free, these little textures and stuff or whatever, the models. I just had to tell it everything that I wanted it to do. You have to constantly be like QAing it and trying to understand like what's going on and things like that. And yeah, that was another little fun experiment that I did. I did it, you know, I got the scroll wheel kind of coming out here, zoom in, zoom out type situation. A lot of it is just better for me, thinking about what I want to do, thinking about like what would be good for me or my client or the user. This is obviously a silly game example, but you know, that's an example. You know, we got the controls down here. We got all this other stuff. So, yeah, this wasn't a one shot. This was me working through it, and then I deployed on Vercel. So, it didn't look like this at first. I had to, you know, tell it what to do with the building and all this other stuff, but yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't really know how viable that is for me, but if I would have kept going with this, I could definitely see some level of application for myself, client, etc. And it's been sitting dormant for a few weeks or a month or so, and it still works. So yeah, that's that. Another project I did. This was the candidate score thing that I was talking about for the recruiting client that I have. They expressed to me that they're wasting a lot of time. What they do is they establish relationships with companies, and then they have to go out and they have to find the candidates. And one of the ways that they find the candidates is through LinkedIn. So they go through LinkedIn. They go through like the navigator, the sales navigator, the LinkedIn recruiter backend thing. They get all this spreadsheet, you know, like 100 people, and they have like first name, last name, and like LinkedIn profile. And what I did was I took that spreadsheet and the thought was take the spreadsheet, put it into something like this, have AI look at the spreadsheet and look at the requirement doc, like basically the job listing, the job post. So look at the requirements for the job, scrape the person's LinkedIn profile, look at their work history, look at them as a, you know, person, if there's any gaps or anything like that, and then score them. So the idea would be that the recruiter can spend way less time evaluating each one of the candidates. So it could at least have basically the idea would be to have you have a big 100 people, right? But you have no idea who is the best fit. So then you would have 1 through 100, like kind of ranked, and it ranks it all on a scale of two things. It ranks it that person specifically to that job, like how closely they rank based on their work history. And it gives them another score of how good they are just in general. That's like, again, the red flag thing. It's like, do they have gaps in their work history? How in general, how well is their, you know, profile filled out? Like a bunch of other things that are like more insider knowledge, right? From the client doing this a lot, from all the reps. And then it's very simple. I did this all in Claude Code. This is a front end through Streamlit, which is like a hosting and like a little front end framework type thing, I think for Python basically. And I did it all through there. I ideated everything through Claude Code. I did this in like, you know, 2 days. And they upload the rec doc here, just a PDF. They upload a CSV of their candidates here. It goes through and it scores them. and then it pops out a CSV that you can just, open in Excel or whatever, and it has those 3 new columns where it's like and it's all ranked, in order of the combined score. And this right here is something that I could absolutely sell to more people. You know what I mean? Like this is the type of stuff where you need to do. I feel like there's different schools of thought, but I feel like the thing that makes the most sense is take the clients that you have, build little things like this for them, and then if you can modify them to be more generalistic or just modify the same project for other clients, like that's the key. Is like you don't know what to build when you start, so you have to figure out an example. You have to figure out like a custom thing that you could build that you could then roll into like more of a productized thing. And I should have done that with websites. Maybe you could make that argument. But again, like this right here is an actual time saver. If this person was going to hire somebody to do this job, I could easily charge them, because there are fees in the back. I didn't tell you the full technical architecture. There isn't an inherent fee to host this, but there could be depending on, your account setup. There is fees to scrape the LinkedIn profiles via Appify. There is fees for the API, for like Claude specifically in this case, the Anthropic API, to scrape the information out of that PDF. I mean, there's other ways to do it as well, but I'm saying like that's what this is. So you have to it's a different world. You still have to understand, but ultimately it's the same business. It's like you're paying for things as a web designer right now that your clients are benefiting from. In this case, you're paying for things from this thing. So you're going to get recurring revenue out of this, is my point. Okay. Like you're not just going to hand this to them unless you put their key in and you deal with an Appify thing for them. There is a recurring business model here, and it's probably even less work. Okay. And you can charge them accordingly based on how much money you're saving them. So pretty dope. What do we got here? So when you built scoring for this, did you spend any time to understand how the scoring works and if it actually is doing a good job by having well-crafted test data? Yeah, I mean, I tested it with stuff that they gave me. Are we talking about, did I look at the algorithm specifically line by line? No. But we could just throw in test data, and then I put in the test data, multiple different test data, and then I gave it to the client, and they're like, yeah, this would track, because it was stuff that they had already done. So yeah, I would recommend doing that. Yeah, good call out there. Next one that I got was, so this is an interesting story. So this is probably if you're still here, this is probably the most pertinent example that I could give you in this entire live stream for probably where you're at, depending on who you are. Okay, let me get another swig because I've been talking. I'm not used to talking for this long, okay? It's been a minute. I mean, I'm talking all the time though. But anyway. Okay. Let me break this down for you. I'm gonna leave like names and stuff out of this, like, because this is different, branding and stuff. But a person came to me on Facebook. There's a lot of angles to this, and they said to me, "Can you build me something in WordPress with Crockablock and Jet Engine, etc.?" Something similar to this, right? This is like kind of an example, but like similar to this. And I'll explain the technical stuff in a second, but I need to tell you the whole story. So somebody came to me and they said, I found your stuff. I searched on AI, maybe it was Meta AI, I think. And it said for somebody that like knows about Crockablock and Jet Engine, because somehow in their, I think they tried to build something in WordPress with that. They got that far and then they couldn't get any further. So they wanted to find a person to build it with them. And I was like, okay, well, I've made a lot of Jet Engine content, right? I've made a lot of different stuff like that. I've had live streams and different things. So somehow, some way, based on the vastness of my personal brand, which is, I mean, again, I say this stuff all the time, but like I know this is like slightly, it's not that uncommon of a name, honestly. It's maybe uncommon in, like the industry, but like unless you have like a ridiculously common name, like I've built a pretty strong personal brand where if you know about me, or if you type me in, you see a lot of this stuff, right? And somehow I've created such like a parallel, obviously, just from like the WordPress realm and then ultimately the Jet Engine and Crockablock realm, that somehow, I don't know, I'm just trying to give you, I don't even know how this happened. They searched in AI, they found me. Okay. So that's just another reason to have like constantly tie yourself to some things, like a bunch of different things that you know how to do. They find me through there. They message me on Facebook and they're like, "Hey, I want you to build something. Are you interested in this?" And it was a platform like similar to this, and they gave me some example sites, or they gave me this example, and they're like, "Can you build this?" And I was like, "Well, honest to God, dude, if you want me to build this in Jet Engine and Crockblock and properly, right? This is the thing. Okay, we're taking a lot of people are taking money, or they're charging so little for the things that they're actually doing, because people have these pipe dream ideas. This is really where all this comes to a T here. Okay, there are people out there. There are business owners, product owners, whatever, and they have these ideas in their mind, and they think that this shit can just be spun up really quickly. Well, before it couldn't. Now it can. I'll get back to it. So they come to me. These people come to me, and they think, "Can you build this? You're a professional with Jet Engine Crockblock. I started building this in WordPress. Can you build it in WordPress for me?" And I'm like, "Not for probably the amount of money that you think." And I'm like, if I was going to build like a serious like practitioner platform with all this different stuff, it's probably going to be 10, at least 10 grand, whatever. Maybe your economics are different. Okay. Maybe you're willing to do that for, $6.85. I don't know. Okay. And my opinion has changed on it a little bit, but like, I can't take on things that are going to be nightmare clients potentially, or like, I just don't want to bite off more things than I know that I can do, but I'm going to resent the entire time because I'm not getting paid enough for it. Okay. That's just my personal experience. But anyway, here's what happens. So we go back and forth a bunch of times, we're sending voice memos, different stuff like that. And, we eventually get to this point where we're like, I say to him, I'm like, "Hey, I can't do this for that amount of money." But here's the thing. I actually did something I shouldn't have done. I spent an hour and a half, and I was just like, "You know what? Listen, I need some more reps." This was 2 months ago. And I was like, "I need some more reps anyway. Let me just see what I could do, like a similar style of thing." I vibe coded what I'm about to show you here again in like 2 hours, and it hit every one of the requirements for what the person wanted. Okay. But this was a situation I was there. So I'm like, I don't want to assume because I don't know exactly how much the person knew about technology, but this is one of those experiences where I probably dodged a bullet because the client wanted the thing with certain requirements. They came to me saying WordPress and Crockblock or whatever. Look, if I'm the professional and I'm telling you, and I'm professional and I'm a business person, and I'm telling you that like this is how much that's going to cost, maybe you should consider something else as an MVP. Maybe you should listen to me. Okay, that's an aside, but that's a business topic, right? So imagine you're this client and you come to me and you say, "I want this done. How much is it going to be?" I tell you a price, and you're like, "No, that's too much. Can we lower it?" And I'm like, "Well, we can lower the scope and lower the price," and still can't really explain. We were going back and forth, couldn't explain to me exactly what they wanted at that lower scope. Pretty much just gave me the same scope. I'm like, "Well, it's the same price." And I was like, "Listen, let me do something here. Let me go rogue." I go into Claude Code. I give it the examples. It's not a one shot. It's like maybe 10 prompts, 10 prompts or whatever to tweak different things just because I want to make it look presentable. I show them this. This is exactly what he outlined. And I did it in an hour and a half. But I didn't do it with the technology that he wanted, even though he doesn't know what he's, I'm not gonna say he doesn't know what he's talking about, but he's not a professional. Okay. He's in a different industry. He doesn't build websites or web apps or thing. He's in a different industry. So I do this for him. No charge, no nothing, just because I needed a rep. And I actually thought what was going to happen was I was going to build this and he was going to be like, "That's amazing. Yeah, let's just do," like, I could have charged him just like a couple $100 a month and it would take me an hour and a half or whatever. And I would have had some recurring revenue. That was my thought. He comes back and he says, "That looks great, but I really want it done in WordPress. Thanks for your time." And I'm like, okay, so just so we understand, like I pretty much left that there, but just so we're on the same page here. The point is that you can now prototype and MVP things extremely quickly that a reasonable business person should absolutely pay some amount of money for. And the reason I'm saying this is because I've built websites, so many websites in the past for businesses that like they're half baked or they're not like interested in growth. They just feel like they need a website or whatever. But like if I gave this to someone and we filled this in with real data, they would actually be able to potentially go make a splash with this, and their investment was lower than it would have been before. Than it would have been than it would have been if I had to build the whole thing from scratch. So this is another angle. Okay? I mean, you can email, you can send, whatever. Like it's all sorts of stuff here. Okay? You can filter. This is Astro, by the way. Okay? Pretty cool, right? This is what I'm saying. Okay? I don't have all the answers. I don't claim to have all the answers. But that was another learning experience for me. This is another really cool little, really, really cool little thing here where I don't remember I think it's all in Brooklyn. I think it's all in like, I don't know. I just put fake New York data in there or whatever. But like, you see what I'm saying? So I don't know. To me, this isn't perfect, but this is something that like, it looks like shit in some ways, obviously, but like I didn't put a lot of effort into design. I was just kind of like showing this. Like, can you imagine how much time this would take you to do? And like, again, Jet Engine, great product. Okay. And I have nothing bad to say about Jet Engine. I'm just saying like, in order to stand this website up, host it, put all these different fields in, do all this stuff manually with Jet Engine. And they have some AI stuff coming too now. I want to give them the credit where credit is due. But like to do all this stuff and put all this stuff in here, unless you're doing some AI automated workflows, like manually doing this with WordPress would have been a pain in the ass, and possibly at first would have been too much anyway. This thing is super fast. It does exactly what it needs to do. And it's that simple. So this is another example. Okay. I'm not telling you to stop using WordPress. I'm not telling you it's going away. I'm not telling you it's going to zero. All I'm telling you is I've changed my thinking. I've widened my scope of things technologies that I can utilize, mostly driven by AI, and they are vast. And WordPress is no longer my default for every single thing, especially in a situation like this where I really don't feel like, I'm not going to say the business wouldn't have done well, but you just have no idea if the business is going to do well. And it's like, I gave you a quote and you didn't have enough money to do it. So it's like, I gave you an alternative at a fraction of the price and you said no. So that's not a technology problem. That is a business owner problem. Okay. But that's the situation that we're in right now where like, you should do this. And if you lose that, that's fine. I mean, this is literally a portfolio piece. It's literally a case study, even though the person didn't take it, because that story is good enough to persuade another business owner to be like, maybe I shouldn't waste all this money. It's not even wasting, but maybe I shouldn't invest all that money. If you've already made the decision that you can't waste it and you have no idea how much things cost or no idea how much time things take, I'm showing you the thing that costs less, takes less time, and is just as good. At least for you when you haven't validated your business whatsoever. That's the story there. Let me get rid of a thing here. Okay. At least the client didn't ask you for building Wix. Yeah, that would have sucked. All right. A couple more examples and we'll get out of here. Appreciate you guys being here. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm thinking Thursdays at 11 from now on if I can do it, but we'll see. All right. This one was a recent one, actually. It's just it's a simple one. I don't have to spend too much time on here. This is another Astro website, just because Astro is kind of like the how would I put it? It's like the developer's version of WordPress in a lot of ways, because it has everything in there that you could need. It doesn't have a CMS, obviously, but everything is in Markdown. It has, it has the concepts. You should watch my Astro video, my modern development using Astro video. I might make another video on that actually, because that was just kind of exploring it, but I don't know. It has like relationships, fields, custom post types. They're not called any of that, okay? But it has those same concepts and it's static, so it's all in the file system. There's no database, and it all loads really fast. Now, there's some drawbacks, obviously, or there's some things to consider, like, if you're going to have users and all this other shit. But anyway, I was just playing around with this. I actually built this website while I was on my baby moon with Amanda in Seven Springs and outside of Pittsburgh here. But I was like building this. This is an interesting one because I was building it for my laptop on occasion. I was gathering data and stuff like that from there. And then I was also building it through Claude Code on my phone, which I learned a lot of things there. If you're interested in Claude Code, I got a full video beginner's guide on that. but learned a lot through this situation. Just as another example, this is a website for my ball hockey playing career. The elite ball hockey is a little bit of a stretch. I didn't really work on the what's it called, the copy at all here, and some of the stuff is like kind of like small. I don't remember if I think I used the Claude design skill at a certain point here, but I don't know. Obviously, some things need fixed heavily. But the point is that, again, this is like just another example of how you could do this. And like, these are, all stats and stuff like that I didn't have to build this shit for. Like, I didn't have to build the tables for or anything like that. I was just able to kind of do it. Like, tournaments is like kind of an object or a custom post type. There's teams that are a custom post type. There's, this tournament page here that's like, this is something that looks like WordPress, right? Like, you look at this and you're like, oh, that's definitely like a CMS style situation. There's like things on there. It's looped, it's the right years and stuff like that, like all that sort of shit. Like, that's what you can do. You know what I mean? Like, it's you don't have to do it in WordPress. It's not the only place to do it. And there's a lot of other things that you can do just outside of it. And this is just another, like I said, this is just another one of my examples, because I had an actual Elementor site at this URL a while ago, a long time ago, and it was ass. So I just wanted to play around with that as well. Just some other ones here. If you're familiar with the Craylor series, you can see, like, in some of the most recent videos, we vibe coded some of the things. This is, again, really, I really see myself as kind of the middleman now, right? It's like the guy that knows WordPress really well, really doesn't want to use it for a lot of stuff anymore. Need to look into the CMS thing. That's a whole separate situation, because that is a valid concern, but I think that it's gonna change. But we're not tackling that today. But we have to figure out, like, valid, usable CMS situations. Headless WordPress obviously is an example, but there's other things. But that's something. But the point is that I'm in the middle, and like what we were doing here with the Craylor series is, if you're familiar with what we were watching, or we were building this with Etch. Like, Kevin helped us tremendously with the development of it, and we have like 1 or 2 episodes left. But we don't have all the pages designed. Nick's busy. Designing obviously costs money, etc. So we're like, let's just see what we can do here. So what we did was we took the code base that we already had, the development that Kevin did, and the Keller schema and all this other stuff, and we were able to put that into Claude Code, and we were saying, like, hey, build us some pages, at least for mock-up purposes, and we'll have Kevin build them, his way. But build us some pages that kind of like vibe with the website that we already started and we had. And it did a pretty good job. Like, I mean, I'm not saying these are award-winning designs by any means, but I'm saying that it doesn't look totally off. It's literally design direction that you can use now for mock-ups. There's this concept of, like, do you even need to do mock-ups anymore traditionally? I mean, designers are going to burn me at the stake for saying that. But I'm saying, like, in the old days, in the traditional days, you didn't want to go to the page builder because, you had the argument, you don't want to go into the page builder because, you might have to go end up in changing shit and all this other stuff. I never really fully subscribed to that, but even now, where I can just say, give me some design inspiration and give me some of these things, and it's going to be in code already, because code is the easiest thing to maneuver. It's actually, like, hard to make. It's not hard, but it's harder to make images and do image gen than it is to do code gen, like something that's in this realm, because code is just easier to manipulate rather than images, and they just keep getting worse and worse depending on if you're, in the same chat and stuff like that. They just keep having to regenerate. This is a real thing that you should probably consider. You should probably consider utilizing a Claude Code, or with the Claude front end design skill, or a Gemini 3 or something, to just start visualizing some more websites like this. Even if you don't use them, throw in a couple prompts, ask, see, like, what you can do there. If you're expanding a website, give it the context of the website, and then have it do it. Something I would consider if I were you. Built this little thing. This is just some other random thing. It's from my AI crash course, completely built with AI. I didn't even really give it any design direction on this. I just gave it a ton of information. And then it just kind of made it all, in a nice, almost like presentation website style form. You see me go over this if you watch that AI crash course free video here on YouTube. But yeah, it's just kind of ridiculous. You know what I mean? It's kind of ridiculous how much you can do now. It really is. It's kind of wild. Last thing that I'll look at here, unless we have more questions and such, is I do have some other notes. We talked about all the platforms. We talked about all of the block editor stuff. I don't think I have any of that stuff saved, but if we go over to my YouTube channel real quick, we can take a look at, oh, this isn't, yeah, we're good here. A couple of these last videos that I put on the second channel, like the etch one, obviously, a lot of people have loved that. There's an etch skill that I just kind of put together to build websites in etch. Probably could be implemented even better, but it worked. And then this one was the block editor. So if you're a block editor guy or gal, you know, I would consider that. I mean, like, you know, they're doing some stuff internally, obviously, but if you can move faster than the people that are trying this stuff already, you're gonna have a really good time. There's already a lot of things you can do, like WordPress Studio. I know a lot of people use local, etc., but like you could just, I never did that before. Like I would never have even thought to do that until I started like vibe coding and trying to use AI to expand my capability and my abilities. You can just access, this isn't news to a lot of people. Like you can just access your WordPress website if you pull it down or whatever, bring it to your file system, open it in something like local. I already knew you could do that, but like I'm saying, like you can then use Claude Code against that because it's just a folder on your computer, and that's how Claude Code works. Go watch my video. And I mean, it's like why have I not tried this sooner? Because I don't have to do any work, and I don't have to wait for the layers and layers of fucking abstraction to implement AI. Okay, I do want to say this for a second. Like, think about this. I'm not saying this is bad, but I am saying that this is a reality. What is the internet? Like built on? Like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, arguably like the lowest thing. Obviously, there's like layers of abstraction below that, machine code and all this other shit. But let's just stop there, right? HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Then you have like there's frameworks, there's all sorts of other stuff that's potentially on top of that. There's PHP, which I could be slightly off base here, but I feel like this is directionally accurate. PHP is like creating the things, but ultimately then it's rendering out in HTML and CSS and everything, right? So like if you're using PHP in WordPress, like you're not using it, but WordPress is, then you have WordPress as a UI, UX, and everything like that. It's kind of all wrapped into that same layer. Then on top of that, you have a page builder. You are so many layers of abstraction away from like the actual core, the actual base layer of what's being produced on the internet, like on your webpage, that I'm not saying it's entirely bad. I'm just saying it's something to be cognizant of that I just wasn't for a very long time. And when you step out of that and you go directly more to that base layer with its, even if it's like a JavaScript framework or whatever, you're at least closer to that level where you don't have all that abstraction above you. I'm not going to say you have more leeway, but it seems to me, at least right now, hypothesis, that you do kind of have more leeway because you could actually mess up at that layer. Like you could be not as performant, right? Think about how easy it is to make a WordPress website start to be slow or bloated, etc. It's very easy. You just start installing a bunch of plugins that you don't care about, you don't know about, etc. But with actual AI coding, you might not know exactly about all the syntax and everything, but you could easily learn. You could easily just like ask questions and see like, well, what's better in this scenario? What's better in that scenario? And it's like, I get it. Maybe you don't know all the syntax, but that's how people learn, bro. They made mistakes. They didn't have the opportunity to ask an LLM, is Astro better for this? Or is React better for this? Or is this better? Like they didn't have that. But you can ask that now. And this stuff is so ubiquitous on the internet for so many years that the answer is probably at minimum going to be directionally accurate. If not, it's going to be pretty much what a developer would tell you. I'm not saying AI doesn't make mistakes, but I'm saying that most of the time for me, when I'm like giving it enough context, it's directionally accurate. Last thing on this is stop typing. Okay, I'm not trying to promote the video that I made yesterday, but I think it was a good one about whisper flow. Seriously, stop typing. You have to get used to communicating like a human to human with this thing, because when you're not giving it enough context, it doesn't know what you're asking. It doesn't know where you're coming from. And at the end of the day, it is just a probabilistic next, next token, next letter operation situation thing that's going on. It's not magic. But if you don't give it enough context, you got no chance. If you say, how do I make an app? It's like, it's going to give you the most generalized shit possible. You have to give it something. You got to say, I want to make an app. I want this to be the, this is the concept for it. I've already tried these different things, or I've looked into these different things, or, try the plan mode situation where it's like, we're going to plan this whole thing out first. We're not going to like cut corners. We're going to actually think about the technical architecture. I want you to be the project manager of this, or like, I want you to be the senior dev on this thing. And I'm like the overall product manager of this. I want you to go out. I want you to do some research on other, market research stuff, or other technology stacks, et cetera. And I want you to report back to me with a list so I can read it. And then I can make a decision, or I can at least have a fundamental like idea of the direction that we're headed. And then, maybe I don't know like if this one or this one is better. But bro, isn't this how software has worked forever? Software developers don't know everything. They go out, they do the research, they figure we could probably do things this way. We could probably do things that way. We got to pick one. And maybe we pick right, maybe we pick wrong. Or maybe there is no right answer. And it just, or maybe we're not going to know the right answer until we're 6 versions in and we see something like, fuck, man, this actually, if we would have went the other way on day 1, we might actually have been better here. Oh, well, that's how it works. So soapboxing a little bit, but that's how I see AI. And maybe I have an advantage because I am technically savvy in a way. I've never just been a designer. I've been more of a structures, how things connect and all that. And I did have the dev background in college, but that's where I'm at. If you don't have it, if you have it, I would say take advantage of it and leverage it. If you don't have it, I would say consider going out and getting it, because it's easier than ever now to be ambitious and learn with this stuff. And if you don't have it and you don't want it, do your thing. I don't know what to tell you. But don't act like people are bad for doing it, and don't act like the world isn't moving in that direction with that being very valuable, because it is. So that's where I'm at with that. Chat real quick here. Toby, what's up? What's up? Thank you for being here, brother. Just stopping to say hi, and good tip on Whisperflow. However, about giving the AI context, I usually type when it gets complicated because I'm not great at thinking on the fly. Yeah, I understand that. It's a fair point. There's a lot of nuance there too as well. Maybe a better way to say it is it's best for me, because I'm just constantly, I don't know what the hell is wrong with me. I'm just like constantly thinking and constantly able to just ramble and get that context out. So if it's not for you, it's not for you. I would amend it by saying then, if you're going to type, I'm just not a big typer, and I'm not like putting stuff online all the time like that. But if you are going to type, just make sure you give it enough context. Yeah. So, yeah, I hear you there. Same for David House. Yep. Gotcha. Maybe I'm just a talker. Very possible. At least I'm in potentially the right field here with the live streams then. A couple last things, and then I'm going to get out of here. Let's see here. Looking at my notes directly into the camera, into my teleprompter. That's kind of scary, isn't it? What do we got? Automated. Okay, so I have the practitioner platform thing I showed you. So I had this segmented into like website stuff that I showed, and then almost more like AI-driven like workflow stuff. So the practitioner platform I thought was kind of in the middle. There's 4 things that I have here. I can't show you them all because like they're not accessible right now. But automated video editing workflow, inventory for my dad's job that he tasked me with doing, and I crushed that. Excel to PDF pipeline. So that one's simple, but that was also a random project for my dad, like kind of trying to get a rep in. He had like, I'm gonna explain this one real quick. He has like a bunch of PDFs that have like basically like or well, no, he had a bunch of like Excel spreadsheets that had transactions on them. And then I took those and created a specifically formatted PDF from them. And that's pretty cool. And here's the last thing too. This is bringing up another thought here. I know I'm all over the place, but I'm going to say some stuff people might agree, might disagree with. I believe from my experience that a lot of people in WordPress love free shit. Like they just get giddy about it. I think it's objectively a platform and a community that is not expensive. Like obviously there's some expensive things, and I'm not talking about from my economic standpoint in the United States, like I'm absolutely not wealthy, but I mean, again, comparatively, I guess to the rest of the world, yes. But the idea is that it is generally kind of cheap. Like plugins are relatively cheap. You know, we're talking like maybe hundreds of dollars per year, stuff like that, right? Even less. The page builders, like this idea of like lifetime deal thing is like kind of like, I don't know if it's completely foreign elsewhere, but it just doesn't make sense. Like I know nobody likes subscriptions, but it doesn't make sense because you pay once and then you constantly get support for the rest of your life. I'm not going into that. My point is that there's another parallel, but it's a weird one with actually digging into code and understanding it more. And again, you may think that, oh, well, Mark, you don't look at all the syntax, so you're a jackass and you're not actually developing anything. You can think whatever you want. What I'm telling you is that when you go into Claude Code, as an example, we can go into any agentic workflow, any agentic coding agent. When you go in there and you say, with this example that I was bringing up, this Excel to PDF pipeline thing, you actually might discover things that you never would have discovered. And I'm talking about like libraries, like coding libraries, or potentially different frameworks, or different like dependency type situation things that are actually free. Everyone loves free. They're like, sometimes you have to use, what was the example I gave? There was another example I gave where, did I do it here? There's another example I gave where I was using the recruiting pipeline. I was using the API to get that information, right? To scan those PDFs. But with Excel to PDF, like I'm almost certain, I haven't done this project. This project was a while ago, but I'm almost certain that like I didn't have to pay anything for that because there's libraries out there that will take the Excel shit and format it into a PDF. So it's like my point is that there's certain things that you think about that you probably maybe would think that there's a SaaS out there that could do it for you. But then if you really needed it and it's like an actual workflow part of your business, you could go AI code them, vibe code them, and you might actually figure out that you don't even need to spend API tokens on the actual running of the workflow. Maybe you have to do it at first when you're building it, but then you could stand it up on a static situation. And then that tool literally is just like puts in the Excel spreadsheet and gets out a PDF, and it all just does it via. Could I tell you exactly what library and dependency it is? No, but could I go look at it? Yeah. So my whole thing is like that exists. And when you are so high up the abstraction ladder, you don't know about any of the stuff. You don't know about any of that stuff because you're only your equivalent would be a WordPress plugin. You know what I mean? Like that's the similar layer of abstraction, but like, is it a free plugin? Who built the plugin? Is it, do you have to end up paying for it? Like, does it have all the features, etc.? Obviously, I'm not saying you're going to like find crazy plugins or whatever on the thing, but crazy like frameworks or libraries or anything that do like everything a plugin would do, all wrapped into one. But I don't know. I'm just starting to. I know that AI itself is an abstraction. Like there's a lot of abstraction just built in AI because you don't necessarily know what it's doing. But at the end of the day, like I'd rather be abstracting the building part and staying at a lower level than adding yet another abstraction layer to all these abstraction layers that I already know all too well. And now I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not. I'm learning. That's all I can say. Last thing I want to show you is, let me just flow you through this real quick. So I'm not going to go through this entire thing, but this is, I thought the other day, it was actually the Whisper Flow video. So I filmed the Whisper Flow video and it was an hour and a half long. And it was like a bunch of, retakes and stuff like that, but it was all one video file because that's just currently how I do it. And I don't have a script for anything. I don't normally do a script or anything. And I'm just free balling. I have notes, but I don't have like a written thing most of the time. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to edit this. My editor, Nathaniel, could edit it, but he's busy. He's got his own stuff going on. He's got other things in the pipeline for me. I just want to try this for simpler stuff because this isn't right now. It's going to continue to get better, and one day it's going to get good enough. But right now, it's just like, let's see what we can do here. So I spent, I don't know, a few hours a day, I don't know, on this. And what you're looking at here is a project. It's a directory on my computer. Okay, a folder on my computer. It's called Automate Video Editing. And it started at 0 with nothing in it. And I went into Claude Code here. This is VS Code, Claude Code. If you don't know anything about this, don't get scared. Watch the video. The Claude Code for beginners video I have. It'll tell you everything you need to know. And I started this. This is compacted and done a bunch of shit, but I'll just kind of like briefly flow you through this. I said, I want to create a pipeline that I can put in a video and it will output, think of it like, again, an hour and 30-minute video, and it'll output a cut up video that has, is essentially done from a rough edit perspective. And it has, it gets rid of all my ums. Really, there's not really a lot of ums because I'm talking in sentences and then I'm pausing and like there'll be silence and then I'll whatever. So what it really needs to do is get rid of the silences and get rid of the bad takes. Now, I think that at least in DaVinci Resolve, you can already transcribe it and you can get rid of silences. I don't think it gets rid of bad takes, but there's some stuff that's already built into these platforms. But I would want this to be a larger platform. This is just where I started because I'd want it to like transcribe. It kind of does some of this. What it does is it transcribes and then it looks at everything and then it cuts out all the silences. It cuts out all the bad takes by using an algorithm that it built that is, if I say the same thing 3 times in a row, I told it that 99% of the time, the last take is going to be the best take. That's the way that I operate when I film. So if you're looking at this transcript and you see the same thing 3 times, cut out the first 2. It's kind of more or less the way that the algorithm pseudo algorithm works, right? So it does all that. And then it outputs the transcript. It outputs chapters. It outputs the video file, the MP4, and it outputs the EDL. The EDL is the timeline file for DaVinci Resolve. So I know everybody is really excited about the idea of being able to, the reason everybody's excited about AI within like a page builder, as an example here, is because you're not creating a website that you feel like you can't edit later, or like you have to rely on an AI to edit. You feel like, okay, if I could just get this thing to do the work in the page builder for me, then I could make the tweaks. Fair point. Okay, fair point. So what I did here was like, actually, I don't even know if I came up with the idea. I think it might have came up with the idea, is it'll output the timeline. So I could take the timeline file. I could either have the MP4 if that's done and that's fine, whatever, but I could also take the timeline file, put it in DaVinci Resolve, and then make little micro edits myself. And I'm like, this is amazing because this saved me tons of time on that edit that I just did. It's not perfect, okay? It's not perfect. It's way better than I could have done, or probably anybody could have done in the amount of time that I did this. But this is the type of shit that I'm talking about, okay? So again, we can make comments whether I know exactly what's going on with this or not, but I'm so far past that, I don't care. It like the way that it works, pseudo idea. Oh, fuck it. Hang on a second. Hey, Claude. Can you go ahead and just explain? I'm on a live stream right now, and I'm trying to show this workflow off. Can you just show me? Can you just tell me the steps as to how this pipeline works and like the technologies that we're using and different stuff like that, just so we can explain it to the audience? Why am I even doing any work? Uh, hello, fellows. Nice. I worry about something auto-removing silences. There are times when I get caught in my work on screen and I don't talk for a few seconds, but I'm doing stuff on screen that I won't want to edit out later. Yeah, it's a fair point. You're gonna obviously this something like this would need tweak depending on how you film, because the other problem that I found is that it cuts out a lot of stuff that, or it doesn't cut out a lot of stuff because I'm talking too quick. So like I'll be like, you know, using FFmpeg, silence codes, filtered, and then I'll just say it again. You know what I mean? I'll say the line again too fast, but you can make that um that thing shorter. You know, the idea of that shorter, or the cutoff for it shorter or whatever. But the thing is, you just part of this is still like you have a process and then you try to fit it to that process. And because it's still human to machine, sometimes you might have to change your human behavior to make the machine kind of fit. But to this point, the videos that I've done this on, which is literally just the whisper flow one, there is no downtime like that really. So yeah, you might have to change up the algorithm for something like that. Let's just read this real quick. Let's skim it. All right, it takes raw talking head YouTube videos, one edited take, automatically cuts it down to a polished edit. Yeah. And our tech, it took an 82-minute video, cut it down to 26 minutes. A lot of time saved. Silent detection. So it uses FFmpeg, which again is like a free, I don't know, is that a free library? I don't know yet. I'm pretty sure it's like a free framework library. I don't know. I wish it would tell me. I could ask. Silence detect filter to scan the audio track, find the gap where you're not talking. And our test have found 754 silence regions totaling 47 minutes of dead air. Transcription sends the audio to DeepGram Nova 3 Cloud API for text. This is, I don't think it said it. Oh yeah. Okay, so it says here. So it sends it to DeepGram. We didn't initially use that. I'll say that here in a second. This gives us word-by-word transcript with precise timing. The wild part, it transcribed 82 minutes of audio in 8 seconds. So this thing was running on initially it was running on my 2080 Super thing. We were using local transcription with faster whisper, which is still possible. That's like a local, I don't know. It's not a local model. It's something, it's like local, just a local thing, a local piece of software or whatever that you can run. And I was running that on my thing, which you might not have the capability to do. I don't know what the requirements are, but I think maybe it's not fully GPU only. But my point is that if you could do it locally, you could do it. But it was taking basically a 1-to-1. So if you gave it 80 minutes of video, it's going to take 80 minutes to transcribe it. A little ridiculous. But then it told me about this DeepGram thing, which is just an API you sign up for. It gives you 200 free credits and it takes like 40 cents for like an 80-minute video. So I'm not going to have to pay for that for a while. And even if I do, I will pay 40 cents to transcribe an 80-minute video in 8 seconds. And it does it accurately. So that's that. So then stage 3, filler word detection, scans for things like whatever, and gets rid of those. But again, in my case, it's not super prevalent with these retake situations because I'm making sure that each retake ends up being good. This is the secret sauce, the retake detection. When you're filming without a script, you inevitably stumble on lines. The algorithm splits your speech into runs separated by silence gaps, then compares adjacent text using text similarity. If 2 runs start with a similar word, it assumes that the first one was a bad take. And then, like I said earlier, it caught 95 retake groups and cut 177 bad takes. Edit decision merging combines all the cuts from stage 1 to 4 into a single. I'm making a video on this, by the way. This is 100% extremely video worthy. Stages 1 to 4 in a single edit decision list. Also runs microclip filter that removes any remaining keep regions longer than 0.4 seconds. This is what I was talking about here. Usually mouth noises and tiny artifacts. Yeah. So like this is what I was talking about. Like you could probably change the threshold here. It depends. It depends on how you film realistically. I've thought about, and what I might have to do is I might have to change my style of recording to say like this was the good take, like say a word, and then like it's like a trigger word. It's basically like a prompt injection almost in a way. Not really, but like it's in like, I'll have to stop. It told me, actually told me somewhere here. Let's stop that for a second. This is what I was saying. Like, so how would I need to change my stuff? And it's like, if I need to, like, if I mess up, stop 2 seconds, like stay silent for 2 seconds and then restart the full sentence. And then in certain cases, it's still not going to be perfect because if I change the way I say my sentences, maybe it's not great. But again, if I can make small changes to my behavior to save myself hours of time trimming these down, it's a trade-off I'm willing to make. Use FFmpeg with the NVIDIA NVENC hardware encoder to re-encode those same things. So it cuts all those down and then just re-encodes it at 4K because I had it in 4K to begin with. Rendered 388 segments in about 13 minutes. So if I'm thinking about this properly, it rendered it in 13 minutes and it's a 26-minute output. Obviously, I edited this video again because I was just like, all right, I need to edit this video, and it ended up being like 15 minutes. But the point is that I think, I guess it renders, if that's accurate, it's like half the time of the video. And then generates edited decision list file, so you can edit decision list. So that's the EDL is the thing. You can literally drag that EDL right into DaVinci Resolve, and then you can make those edits. So you don't have to. The beautiful part about that is that it's clipped, right? So you have two files in the output here, right? You have MP4 and you have the EDL. If you take the MP4 and you put it into DaVinci Resolve, it's just going to be one clip. You're not going to know where the cuts are. If you take the EDL, it already has all those cuts in there. So it's like you're maybe just tweaking certain things, or you can go through it. In an ideal world, it comes out perfect. But the cool part is that you already know the clips, and it's still the same file, because all I do is I pull in the original file and then I pull in this EDL, and it still has all the information. So it's pretty dope. This gives you a timeline referencing the original source file, so you can fine tune and then YouTube chapters. It all automatically generates the timestamps chapters. This is part of I don't know if there's I'm trying to think of where, I don't know if Notion. Let me see this here real quick, and then I want to make a video about YouTube automation, my YouTube automation process, which I'm actively building here with something like this. And this is the whole, like, this right here would be the B-roll thing. I don't even really do that too much right now, but whatever. Auphonic, I could easily throw it through Auphonic as well. I just don't really feel like I need to do that because my audio is normally pretty good. Renders in 4K, technically, basically does that, transcribes it. And then, like, I could take the transcript and then I could get the chapters. Right now, I was telling James in the chat the other day, like, right now what I do is I upload the video and then I wait for YouTube to automatically transcribe it. And then I take that and I put that into a Claude, and then it outputs some stuff. I'll show you that too if you want to see that. But I have a system instructions, so it does like title ideas, it does chapters, it tells me if it should go on my main channel or my second channel. It's kind of just silly because that's probably not that important. It gives me like a quick little description, like a 1-sentence description, and gives me some thumbnail ideas, just like in text. And yeah, my point is that if I could automate this whole process, which other people have already done, this is not, they haven't, I don't think they've explained it very well in videos, because if I did this, I will give you a masterclass on all this. But I've already like started now with this one workflow, like 25% of this. And then the other stuff is actually easier. like all this stuff, I'm not saying you should just use AI slop that comes out of that. There's a lot more that we need to go into on, like, again, developing, kind of giving it taste of its own from you. But my point is, like, this part's actually the easier stuff. This thing that I'm working on right here is the hardest part, because there's so much minutia in there about how you film and all that other stuff. This is probably the hardest part, even though remotion now, I didn't even touch remotion for this because it is like, that's not really the point. The remotion is like the taking parts of the video and, or not even parts of the video, but like graphics and things like that, and making them into your video to make the video nicer, all, programmatically. So might need to end up doing that. But yeah, this could be an incredible YouTube video process automation thing. And the last thing I'll say here is, I'm not the only person doing this, but I'm talking original video filmed and then this stuff. Oops. There's a woman called, I think her name is Julia McCoy. I might be getting her first name wrong. I think it's Julia McCoy. If you don't know of her, you should look her up. All of her videos are used. She uses HeyGen, and she tells you exactly how she does it all in one of her videos. But they're all fake. Like they're all like an AI avatar, and she just scripts them and writes them herself, and then her AI avatar makes the videos. Now these videos have like a lot of production to them. I'm pretty sure she's not doing that with AI. I'm pretty sure she films. She doesn't film anything. She scripts the videos. She has her AI avatar do them. Like she produces the AI avatar script situation, that video, and then she gives that to her video editor, and I think he edits the video. I think. But honestly, there's already a ton of AI only content. I'm not saying I want to get to that level. I'm just saying that it's possible and it's cool to see, and you have authority if you know how to do it. Because there are instances where that actually makes sense. In your personal brand page, I don't really know if it makes sense. But I don't know. Just another random thought there with all that. Is that pretty much it? So the stack is Python, FFmpeg, this NVIDIA little render encoder situation, deepgram, and then text similarity matching. I don't even know what that is. Difflib, it's got to be like a free thing here. And then DaVinci Resolve, where I put my stuff. So if we look at this, how much money is this costing me when I do this? If I use the local, if I use faster Whisper instead of deepgram, this cost me $0 other than electricity. If I use deepgram, it costs me 40 cents. So this is what I'm talking about here, guys. When people say that like SaaS is going away and shit, if you're in the know, you might feel like it is, because if I could do this, why wouldn't I just do this for a lot of things? It's not going, SaaS is obviously not going away entirely. Hypothesis, I guess, because I don't know. But my point is that this is so specific to me, and it's not like it took a village to create this or a lot of time. So if I can do this and I have a process, or your clients have processes in their business that are specific to them, and you could do stuff like this for them, I like it more than selling a website. That's all I'm saying. The website still has a place, though. We didn't even talk about that today. I should have, I don't have any more time, but maybe we should have, maybe in future live streams, we're going to have a lot of other stuff. And I'd love to, maybe next week, like I'd love to pull back the curtain and literally just try to build, probably can't do it all in one session maybe, but try to build my personal website, like redo my personal website. Now, the reality of this, I'll leave you with this. The reality of that is that it's not just make me a website. You should still fill the thing in with a ton of context and a ton of, you don't have to do all of the work, but you have to still, I said this recently, your job now is, if you choose to evolve, your job becomes right now a context gatherer, a question asker, an orchestrator, and a quality assurance professional. That's what your job is, more or less. You're not a syntax writer. You're not a deep researcher. You're not a pixel pusher. You don't have to be a designer in the traditional sense. You don't have to do any of that stuff anymore. Do it if you want. I don't care. But I'm not doing any of that stuff anymore. Like I've just pretty much decided, like I'm doing the next thing. The things that these tools are letting me be capable of. I'm not outputting slop. I'm outputting things that are in line with what I just said there. So yeah. I think something like this flow here with this editing is mind-blowing, and I really want to continue to do it, work it, and then show people how it works, possibly even sell it. Christ, I mean, you could sell this thing. You could, that's the only other thing I got to deal with. It's like, okay, am I going to give all this stuff away? I think I've pretty much made the decision randomly as well, if you're listening still at this point. I'm not going to give anything away. I don't think, because I think I think I've given too much away. I give the content away for free. I'm not going to give anything away. I've had really good success with these 2 lead magnets that I've done so far, where like the AI crash course and then the etch skill. People just love, well, they really enjoyed this stuff. And I just did a simple email. Give me your email, take the thing. You know what I mean? I don't think everything needs to be for money, but my tenure of WordPress, I never even got people's email addresses for anything that I did. I'm not going to be doing that anymore. I do this professionally. So if you're somebody that's interested in this stuff, you may be somebody that I could sell something of value to in the future as things come up. So I would like to at least be able to contact you. And that's not like, for a while, especially in the WordPress thing, it's like, oh, everything needs to be free, and you don't want to take information from people or money from people or whatever. I'm not doing that anymore. There's like really, really successful people in this AI space. A lot of hypesters. Okay, I'm not going to be a hypester, but I want to be a realist pragmatist and like actually help clients and people get it. Help clients, and then also help other people help their clients and get into this, or help themselves. And you have to have money to do that. You have, like, I'm not going to make all this content for nothing. I'm not going to make it for no information, no nothing like that. That's not viable. That's not sustainable. And there's a 0% chance that I do that. And honestly, getting into this AI space has seriously made me a better business person, like I've been saying, but it's also made my relationship with money better, because I realized that like I am providing value and I should be getting compensated for it, in whether that's the content side of it, the community side of it, the course side of it, the client side of it, whatever it is. And it all stems from having more conversations specifically about like ROI positive activity in exchange for money. So that's all that. A couple questions, a couple stuffs here. James said, dang, 8 seconds. I've been using Vibe to transcribe. It takes several minutes. Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of stuff. There's crazy stuff. Let's talk about, why would anybody use WordPress 5 years from now? Oh man, this guy's trying to light a fire. Same as today, client editing. We're going to talk about that. I could talk about it, but client editing, man, I don't know, dude. I'm not saying no to that. I'm just saying, like, fuck, I had this on my list too. We have to talk about what's a viable option for a CMS. Like, I'm not saying WordPress isn't. I haven't dove. I'm going to be transparent with you. I have not created all those apps and stuff that I've showed you so far, all the websites. None of them have database yet. I have not dove into the Supabase. That's the big one for everyone in my side of the tracks now, my neck of the woods here that I've been navigating. Supabase is big. Obviously, you could use anything. You can even use like a Google Sheet technically for a database. But let me take this slightly back. I do have a pseudo database situation going on. Not really, but the stuff is stored in JSON data for there's like an inventory tool that I was talking about for my dad that I couldn't show. That's really cool, actually. That's stored in JSON data, and it's in the GitHub. Like, it's in the GitHub repo, so like it saves to that, and then that's it. Like, it's not its own separate thing, but it's also not in the file system. I don't know, just another random side. But anyway, this whole CMS situation, like, we do need to explore that. I don't think everybody's going to necessarily be vibe coding their own CMSs. Maybe, because I don't see a world where that's not, at least somebody is at least going to do that. I would do that right now, honest to God. I mean, but I actually might do that, to be completely honest with you. I might do that. Damn it. I could live stream all day. I should do that. I don't know. Anyway, I think there's definitely people that will be doing that. I don't think WordPress is going to like completely lose out on it, because it is a viable CMS, but I just think there's so many abstraction layers when you try to build full websites on it, that when you look at it now and you actually dive into this and you give this a fair shake here with this stuff, it's different. But I mean, again, to the client editing point specifically, like, I just think two things can be true at once. I think that like same as today, client editing. I just don't think that WordPress. I mean, WordPress is not the only thing that solves that problem. So I think that there's definitely an option in the future that isn't just WordPress for client editing. I don't know exactly what that is or how that shakes out, but there won't be websites in 5 years. I do want to talk about that. Client can just tell AI edit what they want. Yeah, I mean that's fair. I want to read some of these and then just kind of comment on in general. There will be, but they will be different. No one talks how much resources AI is burning. It's not sustainable. I mean, apparently, yeah, it's burning all the water. I don't know. It might run out of water. So they'll be able to do the same thing with WordPress using AI using frameworks. WordPress will be one of them, right? So WordPress will basically be another lovable VO, Replit, etc. Yeah, I don't know. Just real quick spin up thoughts or concise or like, whatever thoughts on that. I do think there might not be websites in 5 years, like from the traditional sense. I really do think that this whole idea of social media becoming like the pipeline, I just think your website's going to matter less in a lot of ways, because that's another thing I didn't talk about, but like clients asking for SEO nowadays, I just like want to like smack my head off a table, because I'm not saying SEO is gone. Okay. You have to say that pretty much before you say anything now, but it's like, it's not the same. And again, back to my example earlier with the practitioner thing, the clients that ask me about that shit are asking me because they are thinking of SEO from like 5-10 years ago. That's like their mindset, and they've just been paying for it. And maybe it kind of works. And for local SEO and stuff like that, obviously it's not the same. But I mean, just look at how the search engines are obviously changing. And it's something that I don't have the answer to. But I know that it's changing because it doesn't work exactly the same way anymore. And things change slowly, but they feel fast for us because we're tapped in. But for them, they don't understand. And it's like, I don't really want to pitch you on stuff that I don't feel like you need, but I also want your money. So if you really don't think that you need this, or you really think you need this, I mean, I could do it for you, but it's like, I guess I have to like disclaimer it with, look, I don't really think we should do this, but I will do it for you because I can do it. I think there's a better option, but that's kind of that. Yeah, I think WordPress, I think websites are going to change heavily because everybody is getting their information kind of like elsewhere in a lot of ways. Where are we at here? Mr. BOC, live stream all day and build stuff for us plebs. Buddy, you build more than I do. I'll stop commenting like you go eat lunch. I do need to eat lunch. I'm starving. Won't be traditional websites when you get your answers from an AI agent, various types of agents. Yeah, the only thing is like the information still needs to come from somewhere. So I don't know the answer to that. That'll be an interesting thing to figure out. Like where's it getting the information from? Because it's obviously stolen all the information. I don't care that some of my information was probably stolen and some of the information that whatever, but it's like this weird thing where it's like, was it indexed or was it stolen? Depending on like how you're using it. Like obviously there's a huge anti-AI movement specifically around like art. So yeah, websites become infrastructure, but not the main experience. Yeah. I think that's a fair statement. I think that's where we should end it. Guys, look, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for being here on my first live stream back. I'm going to try to do this every Thursday at 11, at least for now. And I think realistically, this was a lot of talking. Okay. And I'm always a talker, as you know. Appreciate you guys listening and all the comments and everything. I think though, what I'm going to try to do realistically is turn these into kind of like work and experiment sessions as much as I can, because I think we'll learn from all that and we can obviously have questions. But realistically, when you're vibe coding and stuff, you have a lot of downtime. And I found that on those other videos, I'm either just talking through whatever it's kind of doing, but it's still kind of slow, or I am tempted to go do something else. So maybe we could do, I think like in a vibe coding environment, I envision live stream vibe code type environment, working on 1 to 2 things at the same time, maybe 2 things within the same project or 2 like slightly different projects, and kind of like having a conversation, answering questions, thinking. I think that might be the sweet spot. I don't know. I will figure it out. We'll figure it out together. Thank you guys for watching. I greatly appreciate it. And I will talk to you